put the...
So do we have any additions or amendments to the agenda? I've got one for certificate of compliance for 32 New Brunswick.
32?
And
New Brunswick.
we're continuing the vocational life skills, you know that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I make a motion we accept the agenda with the add-on of 3222.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So we just a few people know this, so that we were going to give some recognition to the vocational life skills students, but that's going to be continued to June 7th. And then a little further down the line, but there homes at Lot B, Maple Street, that was scheduled for 7/15 is going to be continued, right, for a review by the Board of Health?
I didn't hear that. That happened today, Carol?
Oh, no, I guess that's still on.
It's Surfside.
That's right, we're going to open it.
It's lot 9A and 10.
Surfside.
Yeah.
Surfside.
We're going to open those, but
Yeah, and then I'll
we're just going to
continue them.
continue them.
Right.
So anybody that's interested in lots 9 or 10, the Surfside Road, those will be continued.
And Gardner Road, too. 20
DPW
So the
Gardner
next
Road's
one?
going to be continued too.
Yeah, that's 625. No.
No, the next
Okay,
one, which one?
Gardner.
With
Yeah,
26 and
okay,
32
so it's the next one right after the...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Surfside,
right,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So I guess we can, if these folks are ready, we can go right into this.
Yeah, and it's 625, so it's action.
Al, are you ready to...
Yes.
Okay. On May 17th, 2017, at 6:25 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of the Town of Scituate DPW, Al Bangert, to expand the boundary and increase the capacity of the reservoir and improve fish passage to First Herring Brook on property located at 430 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening. You must have a lot of green cards.
Green cards?
Or about... Show of
An
account.
envelope full.
Al, I like this, you're bringing the commission into the 1990s with this technology.
Yeah, PowerPoint.
So maybe just for the record,
All right.
state your...
I'm Al Bangert. I work for the town of Scituate in its capacity as a special projects director. I work part-time for the town. Previously was a Department of Public Works director, and previous to that, train project.
No, we...
I'm a serial retiree.
And who's
This is-
sitting with you?
This is a project, oh yes, well, I'll introduce him. Okay, this is a project that started about 5 or 6 years ago. It's a project that has been funded by the DEP all along from what's called a SWMI grant, SWMI, which is Sustainable Water Management Initiative. There is a town match on these grants, so the town participates in this financially as well as with time and materials. Tom Cook, who is with me here from Tetra Tech, is the engineering firm. Is with the engineering firm Tetra Tech, was hired. This is your second round or third round? Third round. As we move this project forward, as funding becomes available. So now we're to the point where we're developing. We have developed preliminary plans, now we're at the point of developing some final plans for how we want to raise the reservoir level in order to provide a source of water to, in the spring and in the fall, allow fish passage. And additionally, it'll give us more water capacity for human consumption without interfering with fish passage. So let me turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Al. I got just a short presentation here to make sure everybody understands the project and what we're doing, and I'll try to keep it like the 10 minutes. On this first slide, you can see the spillway over at Reservoir Dam. This was taken, I think, in 2014 during the normal pool. This is what I consider the maximum normal pool, which is the top of the spillway. The spillway is a fixed crest, and there is no flow control on that. And the basic, 6 years ago, I got involved trying to get fish passage into the reservoir through the ladder, which is on the right-hand side. And as you can see, that ladder is not inoperable most of the year. The problem is that the bottom of that fishway exit channel you see on the right is the same elevation as the crest. So whenever the reservoir goes down to that crest, or whenever there's no spill, the ladder is not functional. Just briefly, this is the team, you know Al, and basically I've been involved. We've had many other participants in the project throughout the years. I started in 2012, and I think the Sarah and the North-South River watershed was involved long before that.
Yes, so 2004, I believe, is when this started.
This is basically just an overview of the watershed. It's about 4.3 square miles is the drainage area to Reservoir Dam. Essentially, 73% of the water for Scituate comes from the first Herringbrook watershed, and 23% of that is from surface water. History, it goes way back 2001, was it 2001? 2011. Oh, right, the modeling was done with this watershed modeling to look at water supply. 2012, we did a preliminary assessment, which is basically appraisal level, very short, high level. What are the options to get fish up into Reservoir Dam? And we're also on that project improve the baffles down at Old Oak and Bucket to get fish up into the Old Oak and Bucket Pond. 2013, we did a feasibility study, and then 14, we followed that up with a preliminary design. And now we're in the 60% design and initial permitting, and the whole primary purpose is to get this NOI involved, the process started, and also start the environmental notification form process with MEPA. Our project goals have been to meet Scituate's water needs, and also while doing that, we want to provide seasonal stream flow for the aquatic habitat in the first Herringbrook downstream of Old Oak and Bucket, between Old Oak and Bucket and Reservoir Dam, and upstream Reservoir Dam, and also to get the fish ladders functional. 2011, they came up with an interim operational plan, which is still being implemented with some minor modifications over the years. That plan essentially looked at the ladder operation at Old Oak and Bucket, also incorporated some irrigation restrictions and watering bans. The modeling that we did to look at the alternatives was numerous. There are, I don't know how many, 100 scenarios have been looked at, and they looked at a range of things from modifying the dam outlet, putting in different fishway designs, seasonal stream flows, and new water well sources. In 2013, the model was updated to look at improving the water storage, increasing the water storage. And during the 2013 study, we looked at raising the pond level up to 3.5 feet above where it is. From that, and most promising scenario was raising it 1.5 feet, and that's where we are now. We're looking at lowering the fishway exit, 3.5 feet. We're looking at reduced flow in the ladder. Right now, the ladder we're allowed a lot more flows than necessary for both upstream passage and downstream passage. And looking at irrigation system. See, irrigation season limitations. Our modeling we did this year, basically, the slide compares the existing fishway and current operations to the best modeled. And as you can see, the proposed plan essentially provides much more effectiveness than the existing. And essentially, one of the important things is the minimum reservoir level. Currently, it goes down to like elevation 32, and in the proposed scenario, it would be about 3 feet higher. Old Oaken Bucket essentially is similar. There's good fallout migration success with this proposed scenario, and it's not quite as good. Their effectiveness is actually pretty good here on this best scenario. This year we looked at 3 or 4 different scenarios, and this is the best of them. The basic challenge we have here is trying to increase the water storage, and that would be above the current spillway crest. And right now, the flow flows, the management flows are released through the low-level outlet. So the plan would be that we would release a good portion of those flows through the fishway. So it would be a combination of the low-level outlet and the fishway to get the stream flows that are necessary for water supply and for the habitat. This is a picture of, on the left is the fishway. Essentially what we're looking at, lowering that upper exit channel about 3.5 feet, and by raising the water level 1.5 foot for a normal pool, we're looking at raising the normal pool 1.5 feet higher. That will give enough storage that we will have sufficient water in the fall for the outmigrants. In the spring, there's generally enough water for upstream migrants to get there. The problem is when the water is used during the summer, the fishway is not acceptable. So by lowering the exit and increasing this, we have a higher range of storage that allows the operation. What we're looking at on the right-hand side on the spillway again, what we're looking at is putting in a bottom hinge gate that will be motor operated. We're looking at putting that into the SCADA system so that it would be operated from the water department. Essentially, what happens is with the proposed spillway modifications, there would be no change to the flood control aspects of the current spillway, and that what would do is as it rains, the water comes in, that gate would come down. So if the water level goes up a little bit, the gate comes down to more evenly control that water level at the higher level. One of the benefits of having this gate is following up, so if you get a real flood, the gate goes all the way down, but as that flow is receding, you're able to bring the water back up to save that 1.5 feet of water rather than letting it go down and have to go back to square one. The other aspect of the project in the lower right-hand corner is the entrance to the fishway at the bottom end. It's difficult for fish to get up there, so there'll be a few minor stream modifications, which will include like the stone weir, pull and weir to get, I think there's 2 weirs to get the fish up there. So basically, what we're looking at, I just went over this, we're looking at raising the pond level to elevation 40.4, which is 1.5 foot above the existing crest, and this will increase the storage capacity by 108 acre feet of water. Essentially, the water currently gets up this high with the spillway during the spring and the flood flows. That happens now, so essentially, we're not raising flood levels, and it's essentially the same conditions that experience now. And then, as I said, we're lowering the fishway exit channel to get allow passage in the fall. Basically, this is an overview of the reservoir. The blue area shows the additional area that would be subject to seasonal flooding with the 1.5 foot higher. The gray area is the current normal pool at the spillway crest elevation at 38.9, and the blue, so you can see the additional area that'll be subject to seasonal flooding. More pictures of the spillway. That's the spillway on the downstream side. What has been added to the project this year was the spillway capacity. The Office of Dam Safety has recognized that the spillway does not have adequate flow capacity to pass the design flood with adequate freeboard. So this project will involve increasing that spillway capacity by lowering that crest about 3 feet. And so the gate will be, it'll be higher than 1.5 feet as originally planned back in 2014, but it would include a larger gate that would give the flood capacity to discharge the 1/2 probable maximum flood with freeboard.
Can you go back one slide real quick? Okay, so maybe that's not that, well.
Do you see where the spillway is?
Yeah, I was just looking at the bottom of Tack Factory. Are those houses, is that private property that's now being,
That will be flooded, is what he's trying to say.
That property, that's the flood level in the spring
yeah.
today.
Yeah, I
Today.
think
So
that's
it already
important.
gets there, yeah.
And the difference will be, that will be the level of the reservoir all the time, except when...
Okay, so that is the reservoirs in the spring when everything melts,
Today,
but it's going to stay at that level.
So it's already doing this, so this wouldn't be
It's not
new
new.
incursion into that area.
It already goes to approximately that level, and what happens is, because there's no control on that, it will drop down
Yeah,
within a
right.
couple
Well,
weeks.
It drops.
In this case, what we're proposing, it will be drawn down at a controlled, more controlled rate to meet the flow demand and save as much water there as possible for the fall out-migration period.
Yep, thanks.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so that's the spillway up in the upper left. What we're talking about is putting a gate section on that, actually lowering that by about 3 feet. The crest will be coming down, I think, 3 feet, 3.5 feet. And that gate will be motor-operated, automatic controls, and it would be actually set up with a water level sensor. So it would actually follow the inflow to make sure we don't waste any water. The fishway, at the bottom end, we got to fix the lower weirs there, and then you can see the channel down to the right. We got to do a few stream, moving some of those rocks around, putting in a couple weirs to get the fish up to that fishway entrance. That's a low-level outlet on the right-hand side. That's a 12-inch pipe with a control valve that's currently, the water department currently uses that to release flow to Old Oaken Bucket.
Bless you.
And just some more pictures of it with some flow, actually.
Yeah.
And can see the old Locan bucket fixed-way on the left-hand side. Those are the modifications that were put in on 2013 to save water through these low-flow notches there. Benefits, we basically are providing 23% more storage, 108 acre-feet of water. This will allow continued water supply, better water supply, while providing environmental flows, and this will provide more resiliency to drought and emergency conditions. Ecological benefits, we're essentially restoring about 70 acres of pond habitat for alewife and American eel, and opening up the stream channel upstream of the Tack Factory Pond for blueback herring. Essentially, the 1.5 foot higher level increases the shoreline habitat by about 4,000 linear feet. And Sarah's estimated that the meeting carrying capacity of the reservoir impoundment would be about 25,000 alewife versus 0 now. The good stuff that you're all interested in. Bank, there's about a 1,400 foot linear foot reduction in bank length.
Is there a reduction?
What's that?
A reduction in bank length?
Yes. We defined the bank length currently, and when you raise the water level, the bank length actually changes, it goes down.
It seems a little contradictory.
It does, but
that's only when it's full, too, right?
But it's going to keep it at a steady level.
No, it'll still go down in the
Well,
summer, you'll still use the water, but at peak capacity, it's gonna hold more now.
Well, we can, why don't we keep,
well, I think the bank length, I think it comes over here in this area here.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of
Losing
low
bank
flat
length
stuff,
here.
you're gonna have a lot more
We're
bank.
losing from bank length here.
Like this.
Okay.
Of 3A, see the length sticks up in a 3A, you're gonna lose that. Yep.
Boring vegetated wetlands, slight increase in wetlands. Basically, we found that there's about 1.8, is that 1.8 million? Is that right? Square feet of wetlands above the normal pool. Here, the white area is the pool, so the pink is the delineated wetlands. So the wetlands area from normal pool to the pink line is that number 1.8 square feet. With the new pool level, there will be about 1.2 million above the proposed maximum level. So essentially, there's about a 570,000 less wetlands from the existing conditions. Now, those wetlands are currently subjected to seasonal submergence anyway, to elevation as high as 40.5. Typically in the spring, that water gets 1.5 to 2.5 feet above the spillway crest. So those wetlands are seasonally submerged, and basically 50% of the time with the current reservoir level, the water exceeds the crest of the elevation. So that water does come up quite frequently. And right now, as we all know, the reservoir actually drops 4 to 6 feet typically below the spillway crest during the summer dry periods. Land underwater at the existing reservoir is about 52 acres. And at the higher reservoir, because the mean annual low flow level is higher, it increases to 60.8 acres. Bordering land subject to flooding, basically is increased by about 750,000 square feet because of the higher water level. Riverfront area, there is about at north, the current pool, the existing pool, is about 330,000 square feet, and with the 1.5 foot area, it goes down to 278,000 square feet, about 52,000 square foot decrease, extra zero there. And the other resources, basically the sites not located in the National Heritage Endangered Species Program, MAT priority habitat of rare species or estimated habitat rare wildlife areas. And while we were, our wetlands scientists were flagging the wetlands, they did not observe any vernal pools around the edge. The project will include some shoreline improvements. Basically, there is no change in the high water level. There are about 14 acres of land would be subject to seasonal flooding, more than now. The water supply buffer zone, everything is within the 150-foot water protection district. And all properties currently within the DEP Title V regulated areas are within 200 feet of the reservoir. Septic system, there are 3 systems near the pond off Chief Justice Cushing Highway. 2 of them have raised mounted systems. In 2014, we did some groundwater monitoring, and it looks like there's adequate separation between the groundwater and those septic systems, so they should be okay. There was one property that is not, would have to be upgraded. Stormwater system, well, basically there's the project is not really changing any of the stormwater management practices on Chief Justice Cushing Highway, and at Sherman Drive. At the end of Sherman Drive, there is one catch basin that drains via pipe to the reservoir, and as part of the project, we're recommending that a oil grit separator and a bioswale be installed to give that some treatment going into the water supply. Picture 3A, we're anticipating there will be some portion, about 300, almost 400 feet of embankment will need some additional erosion protection. This picture is, I think, a little bit above, it's probably 6 inches above the spillway crest. There's a USGS gauge mark on the head wall, which is just barely underwater there. That's the same elevation as the spillway crest, and this is where the water department gets their water level measurements in there every day. Also included in this project will be the improved access to the slide gates on Tack Factory Pond. Essentially, there will be a small walkway extending over to that structure so that the water department can access it during wet conditions. excuse me, this year's design, we basically had some initial agency consultation. We had a meeting back March 8th we invited everybody in the state, DEP, drinking water, wetlands, Corps of Engineers, DOT, everybody, and we had a meeting. We had about 8 or 9 folks show up. So we initiated that. We got their input as best we could. The second thing we're doing is what we're here for, this NOI that we filed. We'll be filing a MEPA ENF shortly. As part of this project, we had to do this emergency design. The Office of Dam Safety, the DCR Office of Dam Safety, suggested a low saddle in the embankment to catch the overflow. The problem is right now the design storm, the 1/2 PMF, the dam embankment is overtopped by about 1/10 of a foot, an inch or two. So that needs to be remedied, so that has been added into this project as if you're going to do spillway modifications, let's get it all in the same boat. We did additional wheat mowing. Some of the results are presented, and we're also preparing our 60% design plans, which will be used for the next stage in the environmental impact report and design construction drawings. So that basically, the project's not over yet. We've got the design and permitting phase, and then we got the construction phase of it coming down. Variance process. I put some pictures of the Tack Factory Pond is on the bottom photograph. That was taken this spring on one of the days when our wetland science was out there. And Reservoir Dam is on the upper part. The pictures are at about normal pool, I believe, with no or very little flow over the spillway. So basically, the process is we're filing this notice of intent. We are expecting a denial with condition that there's, because there's more than 5,000 square feet. We are, we'll appeal that denial to DEP and request a superseding order. We expect DEP to deny it, and then we'll be preparing a variance request. And that will lead us into the EIR. Pete, correct me.
No, you're right.
That's unfortunate.
It would lead you into what? Pete Dillon's our with Tetra Tech. He's our hydrogeologist. He's supporting me. Just explain that when you get to the denial piece, then it takes you to the what step?
You got two choices here, really. You can't approve something that's being. You can't approve something that's going to alter 5,000 more than 5,000 square feet of wetlands. So at least unless it's under ecological restoration, which DEP seems to not really want to do in this case. I mean, let's put it this way: if you take a dam down, you approach it as ecological restoration, and there's no variance process, and the local conservation commission can approve that. Because the focus on this is water supply and not just ecological restoration, DEP's, and if you'll notice, you haven't gotten a site number or any comments yet from DEP, because I think they're contemplating this. And that, so what happens is that you would issue a denial of this project with conditions that we can help you with. And at that point, the Scituate DPW would request from DEP a superseding order of conditions, which most likely, at least in the variance process, the way it works, DEP would also deny. At that point, you have to request a variance, and they'll request additional studies, and you'll have to do some additional work to basically be able to attain the variance. And that variance is actually issued by the Commissioner of DEP, who has the ability to override the regulations. It's not a simple process. I'm sure you haven't been through it before. Pretty much municipalities and the state agencies are pretty much the only ones that do it. Tetra Tech is doing that right now with a couple of Mass DOT projects. But that's really in the ballpark of what's happening. Unless, for some reason, DEP turns around and says that, yeah, okay, the water supply is great, but this is also awesome, basically ecological restoration, and therefore you would approve it.
Irony is the DEP is funding the project.
If you look at that list, there's a lot of ironies, yes.
This is the first time anyone's ever come to us to get their denial.
Why don't we just cut to the chase? You're denied.
You're going to refuse us.
I think that what you want to do is you want to wait and see how DEP reacts.
Yeah, see how DEP is.
Because in the request, we actually said, this could still be approved as ecological restoration. When we had our meeting in March, the Southeast region, basically wetland lead, that it was suggested by our wetland scientists that this could be considered ecological restoration, and he just wasn't completely buying it. But I'm not saying that they won't in the long run. I think that at this point, you just kind of need to wait and see, and then you guys need to make a decision.
And then the appeal process brings you into the environmental impact.
That's really, the environmental impact will be, it's a mandatory environmental impact statement. The ENF is going to get filed this year, but it's a mandatory EIR. A lot of the information that you're going to be asked to produce by a number of different agencies, who most likely will be mostly in favor of this, will be as part of the EIR process. My guess is, for the variance process, there may be even some additional things. They like to, and I'm going to say it will be like stormwater improvements that they're going to be looking for.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, look,
Well, I'm out of order.
Go ahead, that's all right,
I just
go
wanted to
ahead.
know, you said 14.2 acres would be covered by water, an increase of what it is now. Any of that private property?
It's covered now.
Yes.
It's just, it'll be covered more often.
It'll be,
And there is some of it is private property, yes. Is that right?
There are small portions. Most of it is within the town land around the reservoir. Most of it is on the town land, but there are a few corners of lot lines that come up to the reservoir edge that are going to be impacted.
but there would be no property that is now not affected that will be affected. Is that correct?
Correct.
No new
No new property, nothing
No
new.
flooding.
Thank you.
Right. And that was part of what we were trying to do was we didn't want to increase the flood levels. So the whole idea is if we keep it down so that we do not raise the flood levels, we're going to have absolutely minimal impact on those properties.
That was probably the only concern I had. And
Sorry to steal it from
they've answered, no, that's all right.
Well, this is obviously we're very excited about this. In this scenario, how often will the fish ladders have water? All the time now?
Fish, in the spring, there's sufficient flow 98% of the time,
Yeah.
and in the fall,
During the fish season.
during the
Yeah.
fish season. So there's like the
Okay, so they get here in
in-migration,
the spring.
and
what
then the
happens?
fall, the out-migration, there's sufficient flow in there for 98% of the reservoir dam, and I think it's 85% for Old Oak and Bucket.
So they're stuck with us for the summer, and they're okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will,
They're breeding.
Yeah,
They
God bless them. Okay.
don't want to.
The next one is, there's one property adjacent to this that septic is failing, so that would be an absolute that would get done before.
Well,
There is a
instead of
property,
abandoned.
As you're coming north on 3A,
Yeah,
there's a property to the right, just immediately adjacent to the reservoir.
yeah.
That has been abandoned. That is the area where a Title V was never put in. The one across the street has a Title V, so they've never put a Title V in, and it's not currently lived in.
So the assumption is that whenever something gets done with the property,
Yes.
that's when we'll
So
upgrade it.
it would be the responsibility of this project to not make that project uninhabitable, but,
And
remedy the situation.
one last question, and this is a great presentation. It's going to be great for the town, and couple this with the other dam projects we're doing, this is really exciting. Can we not issue a denial? If we say, we think that it's part of the ecological restoration, would that help this process?
You're the commission, you can do whatever you want. You can issue and I would be careful of doing this to make sure that everybody understands what it means. You could actually issue an order of conditions that would require, there's an additional form in the Wetlands Protection Act, Form A, I think it is, as part of the order of conditions to complete the requirements of Form A, and issue an order with all the conditions that you wanted on it as an ecological restoration project. What that would do would either DEP at that point would go along with you,
Or they come and hang pat?
or they might came, but he's leaving anyway, or what they would do is they would issue a denial with a superseding order of conditions, which, by the way, they have to do in this variance process anyway. So I think it's something.
They may issue comments in the next week or so saying, don't even think about approving this.
Right. I think that's where you're going to, the fact that there's not been a number issued, the fact that you haven't seen anything from them at all, my guess is that there's a lot of people that are thinking very long and hard about this project because it has so many positive benefits, not only for water supply, but for the environment.
And we were lucky with the Hunters Pond Dam project. That was clearly a restoration project, and it qualified, even though it was more than 5,000 square feet, but that one went through. But this is a different animal. There's so much wetland disturbance that it gets taken from the local commission's hands.
It's unfortunate.
Well, when would you do the work? Do you have to wait till the water level's down, or?
Ideally, you would do this in the, after the spring runoff, and you would draw down the pond. Last summer had been ideal.
Yeah.
And the whole idea, in order to keep the costs down, what would happen is you bring the reservoir down so you could still pull water through the low-level outlet, but it'd be low enough so you wouldn't have to construct cofferdams to keep the cost down. You do your top of your dam. You basically have to take off, excavate out the embankment, cut the spillway down to the proper level, cut the fishway down to the proper level, and pour new concrete structures in there. And then once that's done, then you can bring the water level back up. So the ideal thing would be, it'll probably be about 4 to 6 month process to get the actual dam work done. So that was, and you need to get it low enough so that if you get a thunderstorm or rainfall event, you can store it without encroaching upon your construction area.
So
We have
that,
the ability to lower the dam to a low-level outlet, a pipe in the bottom, the drain pipe, and you show a picture of an automatic mechanism that lowers the water. Does it dump it into the stream?
Yeah, it goes in the stream.
Dumps it into the stream.
That's how they supply old Loken buckets with that low-level outlet.
so that wouldn't therefore interrupt the town's water supply in the summer, late in the summer, when the water would normally be down anyway.
It would during construction because you want that high going into the August period.
Right.
And you're not going to have that. So if you start construction in June, you're going to bring that, as soon as the flow goes down in the spring, you keep bringing it down and then do your construction. So there would be a construction season where you would have, you would not have that storage available.
I understand, but because I'm sure there's going to be a concern, would the residents of the mainland part of town
What's going to happen?
be negatively affected while that's going on?
In that period, you would need to go on watering restrictions.
Okay.
And have it well publicized, so everyone understood.
Sure.
This is the little bit of pain we take to get to a position where we won't have to do it, surprise, everyone.
Similar to what we had this past summer, for water restrictions?
Yes, similar to that.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the alternative to doing this in the winter, I mean, other than having to protect the site or protect the concrete and that sort of thing because of the cold, I mean, to do this in the fall.
Fall will be better, yeah, after the self-residents leave.
Right.
The demand is down.
Could we do that?
Well, do you have
That
to
would be-
work around the fish spawning and stuff?
Pardon?
Do you-
There is no
Well,
fish
they're
now.
not spawning right now.
They would get
Yeah.
they'd be out of duty too, out of service too. Fish wouldn't get any better.
But they're not doing anything now.
Not in the reservoir.
Yeah,
Already there
so,
now, so.
Well, that's one piece of it, but,
Yeah.
and that's a
Yeah.
programming.
but could we do it in the fall instead of in
Sure.
the summer?
Yeah. Yeah, basically,
Before we got into winter.
in the next phase of the project, when we're doing the 90% design, you actually come up with your construction approach. And what you have to do is typically, I think we'll have to be working around the herring out-migration period in the spring, and we'll have to make sure that there'll be, in the fall,
Time of year restrictions.
time of year. But we're going to have a couple months in the spring and a couple months in the fall where we got to make sure there's enough flow out of Old Oak and Bucket for those fish. So,
Okay, I'm just,
Department of Marine Fisheries will make sure we cover all that.
Sounds complicated.
And
It is complicated.
so, this is a public hearing, and we want to open this up to the folks that are here. I'm sure there's some people that surround the reservoir that have concerns as well. So maybe we can hear from them at this point, right? Pat, did you want to comment yet, or do
Oh,
you?
the only comment I had is this may be the time that, if we're gonna do anything related to the wetland flagging, that we'd like to do it, because once it gets beyond this, it's ENF, and there's a couple areas like down on Sherman where there's gonna be some stormwater swales or something. We may just wanna have those wetland lines checked, coming up soon, so. Not the whole line, just the certain areas where work is proposed, or maybe if there's a vulnerable, resident nearby, we want to make sure we have those lines pretty accurate. So, but I can talk to you about that.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
So, folks in the audience, yes, sir. Yeah, you just, when you want to state your name and address.
Okay, my name is Dave Smith, and I live at 104 Chief Justice Christian, 401. I had already got information from the last meeting that it will not affect my yard or my house, so I just want to make sure that that's going to be
Sure.
the way it's going to be.
You live to the west of the reservoir,
On the rotary side.
on the left going north. Yeah. And you make,
Anybody,
birch. You work with birch.
On the other side.
anybody else?
Hi. Pat Butler, 439 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. I live on the other side of the Cat Factory Pond. If you're going to raise, maybe I don't understand it, but are you going to raise the pond, put in the house, or just the rest? What are you going to raise?
It'll be, Tack Factory Pond is about a foot higher than the reservoir. So the hole at the 18-inch higher level, actually Tack Factory Pond will be, I think it's half a foot higher, okay? So there'll be the reservoir side and Tack Factory Pond side.
So Tack Factory Pond's
It would
not
be the
going to
same
be,
level.
not going to be elevated 18 inches. Tack Factory Pond.
It'll only go a
So
foot
for those,
higher.
that Tack Factory Pond is on the west side of 3A,
It won't be 6 inches.
and that would only elevate approximately 6
Correct.
inches.
And it's consistent with what they see in the spring.
Right. I think, okay. Does that help?
I know that you're saying that the level is going to stay the same. Is it going to stay the same year round, or is it going to go down? It's not going to happen.
It'll go down on the reservoir side, and I think the Tack Factory side will be however it's maintained now. So essentially, I guess a good indication was back on the April 1 rainfall we had, that water level that you observed in Tack Factory Pond is about the water level of the proposed new high water. So it was about 4 to 6 inches above the top of those gates. So that would be the new pond level.
And it will go down.
And that'll go down to the top where it is now as Reservoir Dam goes down. There will be no flow control added to Tack Factory Pond. Essentially, those gates will be there, they'll be operated as is, and there'll be no change on that side. So the water over there is like a foot higher than Reservoir Dam.
Right, but I always thought it was because you had it dammed up so it didn't go over. That's why I thought, because you can drive down the highway and this side is higher than the other side anyway,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, the Tack Factory Pond is about a foot higher than the reservoir, when the reservoir's.
About 4.
Okay. So we're going to raise the reservoir 18 inches, which means Tack Factory Pond will then come up about 6 inches.
It'll be even.
But the reservoir, during portions of the season, will go down and will Tack Factory Pond, but it will still stay where that dam, where it is now, the dam level now. Okay? So you'll see a change of 6 inches, like you do in heavy rain events. Okay? It's just that you'll see that extra 6 inches will be there more often.
And I think that's important to think about. Just, I lived in Greenbush on the Greenbush Pond, and there were times when the Greenbush Pond would overflow, my sump pump would be running more frequently. And I think the simple answer to your question, though, is you're going to have to think about the level of the reservoir when it's typically a higher level of water. What they're saying is the reservoir floods to this level in the spring anyways, so the impact isn't going to be as great. It has a little bit different impact for some of the wetlands. There's wetlands that are now like a bordering vegetated wetland, and those could change a little bit with the flooding. It could also make other areas somewhat of a wetland. One of my questions would be for folks that live around the reservoir, will they wind up with different buffer zones than what they have now? I mean, that's important, I think, for folks that live around there. If at some point they want to do something with their property, will they wind up with some different resource areas or buffers around their property if this floods? And I mean, we're all for promoting this. We understand the town needs more water, and if it's a double benefit by,
But if it's already flooding, it's already raised at that level anyway. Now,
Right.
Doesn't that establish the buffer zone?
I would think so. This is...
Right, you're not changing the level, you're changing the duration of that level.
It's not going to get any worse, it's only going to be more often. Yeah.
Sarah?
Sarah Grady, North and South Rivers Watershed Association. Just sort of a clarifying point, if you think about it in the other direction, you're not changing the wetland resource zone every summer when the reservoir drops and the water gets used.
Right.
So as the reservoir level fluctuates, you're not really going to be changing where those resource lines really are. You're just impacting temporarily different areas.
Sure. And I think, it seems like we're excited about Hunter's Pond. We're certainly would like to see, water moving on a regular basis here, health of the fish, plus at the same time have some more capacity for our reservoir. you just read different pieces. I was just reading a piece about Yellowstone and how, different impacts, everybody thinking this is for the good, will change this, and have we thought it through enough to make sure that these impacts have a lot more positive than negatives when we do that? And have we considered any other alternatives for the town? Right now, this is kind of a little side shot, but my observation of how we draw water in our town is basically all of our wells are above our reservoir. So, in essence, we wound up taking the water before it ever makes it to our reservoir. All of our wells are in the watershed.
Except for the ones opposite the Blooming Place.
Yeah.
Right.
But the majority of our wells are in that area. And so we kind of, in a way, create some of our own dilemma by drawing all that water all summer long.
Depending on how deep they are, though, too.
Well, sure, yeah.
So you have a great point, which is that groundwater that the wells are drawing from, and hydrogeologists, correct me. The time frame essentially of that water being available is much longer than drawing from those surface water resources. And from a town perspective, even if you were using the same parcels of water, it's far more beneficial for the town to draw from wells, which they just have to do some quick treatment of,
Right.
versus having to move that water down to Old Oak and Bucket Pond and suck it into the water treatment system and run it through filters. And so I mean, groundwater from a town perspective is far more useful and easier to use than surface water.
I understand that. I mean, it doesn't have to be treated as much. It
Yeah.
tastes better. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of
Yeah.
reasons to do that. But we have alternatives in town other than those sites, to think about locations for wells and not primarily draw off of that in that watershed.
There are a number of wells around town that have been abandoned over the years. For instance, there's one right next to the, in North Situate. By the
Scituate,
parking
yeah.
lot there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one over.
Beaver Dam Road,
There's one on
Kent Street.
Kent Street, yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of. So wells sometimes become impacted with too much, I think those were too high in magnesium, manganese. Or
Some saline issues on Kent Street.
Kent Street was saline.
Yeah, saline, yeah. We are looking at a well on the Dolan property, which is a different slope of the watershed.
Right.
Yeah.
We funded money at the town meeting for that, for exploratory work for that. We met with the DEP about whether or not the permit that was issued in 2004 was still valid. The answer is no. So we have to go back and...
Oh, I understand, creating new well sites is costly, time-consuming.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's important to do, because we would like to use more well water and less surface water. Surface water is exposed to things that fly over it and drop in it.
Well, I'd like to do as much, the Herringbrook, to restore that would be super beneficial, and so my point is, are we missing anything in doing, this is a good piece of it, certainly, to have this, but in addition to that, it's also costly. Are there other pieces that we've looked at as well that could be beneficial to the town? And primarily, it's alternative well sites around the town to sort of disperse that draw from just that watershed that goes in.
That conservation of the two primary thrust. Conservation, increasing their capacity here, which is, this increase is about a 28-day additional supply of water. So it would just forestall going on more severe restrictions by, on that period. It wouldn't have avoided this summer's drought. This is not drought-proofing the town. This is giving a little more leeway to the town. Same thing with drilling wells and renovating wells. The wells are being renovated now so that they're more functional. We're putting an additional, called a satellite well off of opposite the Blooming Place.
Right.
We have a well site already. It's a well-performing site. one of the wells is collapsing, so it's a fight against time, really. If at the same time you get a lot of development, and you don't install water-saving restrictions or devices, then we're going to be in deep trouble sometime in the future. There are desalination options, which are even more expensive than the ones that we're working on here, but are very, very capable. Usually using lots of electricity, so.
No, I'm with you on that, but sure, I appreciate it. Can I just, and we've got other hearings tonight, I'd love to listen to this. Sarah, how long, say, after we develop a steady flow of water, would it take to start to see, say, alewife, herring, that kind of thing move back into this?
All right, so when the water department started implementing the interim operational plan and allowing water to flow over the fish ladder in the spring in 2011,
Which fish ladder?
the old open bucket fish ladder,
Okay.
that next migratory period, fish did show up.
Great.
They were sort of scouts from the North River system, so they were fish that may have had been headed somewhere else and decided to check out Scituate. But the number of fish that we've seen since then has not really increased. It's usually at most a dozen a year. So what likely will have to happen is once access to the reservoir has been established and we can demonstrate that that's a functional fish ladder, then we will have to do some habitat studies at the reservoir to show Division of Marine Fisheries that this is essentially a good place for the fish to go. They may go there anyway, but once we've done that, then we'll be able to request stocking of the system from the Division of Marine Fisheries, probably from another local run. I anticipate it probably would be Pembroke fish that would get to come live in Scituate.
Okay.
Upgrade.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Upgrade, yeah.
That'll lower our tax base.
Yeah. Can we, so, Pat, you had some concerns about the wetlands delineation in a few of these spots. I mean, I'm just thinking, do we continue this hearing? Do we?
We have to
we need
continue
to
it anyway.
Yeah,
Get
'cause we
input
want to
from
see
the
Because we're waiting
you
for
calm
DEP.
down.
I'd like to hear when you guys think we should continue it to. Should we wait until the DEP sends a letter and make it later in June, or should we go for the next meeting on June 7th? Because we could have the wetland flag, it's a small project, I think. We could have that taken care of in the next couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
The grant funding deadline.
Are you in tomorrow, Pat?
yep.
I'll come.
Well, we need to decide now when to
Yeah,
continue
because I have to
to.
continue it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we either continue it to the 7th,
The
the 21st of,
7.
Okay.
And hope
you think we can
DEP
get
got back
that,
to
some
us.
information that quick?
Yeah,
Maybe you'll put a little pressure.
yeah, it's 3 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Okay, I make a motion that we continue.
is everybody all set? Is there any other thoughts or questions this evening?
Okay, I make a motion we continue 430 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, the reservoir, to June 7th at 6:30.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
wonderful information.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
spending the evening with us, and thanks for your service to the town for what you do. It's a lot
nice.
of volunteer hours put in here.
Oh, nice.
Everybody's set.
What about white shark migration? Can they?
Always anybody wants to look at it.
Getting us some more water.
But it's
Drinking
exciting.
Poland's drink
Will
water.
be a wife coming in
Frank, is that
from
Poland's drink
Cohasset
water?
and then coming in
front of you.
down the other end of
Yeah, who
town.
knows where it comes from?
You just fill it from the tap out front, don't you?
Yeah.
I didn't attach it.
You're done, right?
You can go see the one at Old Oaken Market.
Wayland?
The fish actually walking up.
That's
exactly what they do.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, yeah. That might be able to make
Like it over there. Give it to Richard. Richard wants
He already has.
both. Well, he wants both.
I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I already have one. Oh, do you want one? You don't need one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they can hear my voice.
Yes, I hope you feel a little bit better.
Sometimes
No. Yeah.
Yes, right. All right.
Amazing, one impacts the other.
Yeah, once you get the fish here,
An hour.
they'll come back.
Yeah, but we're gonna pick up
Both
yes, and then we're gonna lose again.
All this other acreage,
Right.
that they're raising it to a level it already goes to. It's getting interesting.
Yeah, but to maintain that level,
I've got too many of these.
Yeah.
Because now it's going over the spillway when it's at that level.
right. No, that's, but I mean, you see, they started out at 3.5 feet and said, whoa, that probably wouldn't work.
No, this is like the least impact you could have. It's virtually.
I still am
7 Seaside.
fan of them spreading their,
Oh, no.
They wanna,
It's the problem we're solving. It's all the levels, raise the dam.
they're gonna put it.
But we already have voters for it?
Well, it just, you know.
What?
Wait, oh, you know what it is?
We already have
He had
voters.
to come back.
Come back because something was missing.
they just, when I look at this.
Oh, we wanted to see if there were,
Well, give me one more minute, Paul.
if there was another, a previous line. This-
Oh, another outstanding order of conditions?
Yeah, because you don't think we should put this out there.
No, wait a second. Don't.
Let's say you got a 2,000.
This is the one that,
Most of our wells are shell, and if they,
That's what I'm saying, it depends on the depth of the
and
aquifer.
if we've got stuff from this watershed, and basically,
no, this is, I went down to see this site.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, that's what I said. It depends.
Here's a brook.
We don't want it.
You put a well in here, it's pumping that
So I
water
don't
up and
understand
out.
why we're doing it
You're
again.
pulling this down.
Depending on the depth. Because there are aquifers that are deep enough.
Yes. We already did this one.
You know, none of that water is depth.
Why is he back?
Stream at all.
Yeah, but they're, most of our
They're not
well,
that deep.
most of our, we don't use artesian wells, they're all shallow.
Okay. That's why I said, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
So you're right, they're shallow.
And we know that that's impacted.
Is it on post?
But of course, it
Yeah,
will
this one is.
capture
But now they want to put another one.
spillway.
We had an issue with this.
It's a barrier beach.
Yeah. I thought we already did it.
Do we have to open
We
this?
did, and we were waiting for
It's been
some wetland clarification from Brad Holmes, and Brad sent it, and it was emailed to everybody, but if you haven't seen
Got
it,
it.
we have it.
You should read your packet. He's got a one-page report. What we asked him to do was to go out and identify.
I don't want to close the door, can, maybe we can just ask folks to take
Just
it
move
down the
them down the
hall.
hallway. This is what Brad.
Just
Yeah,
ask folks to, thank you.
Except for Lisa, she can come back.
Down the hallway a little bit, cut the noise down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
After the last meeting, we asked Brad Holmes to go out to the site and identify the landward edge of the coastal dune, which is this line here, and he submitted to you a one-page report. The coastal dune is this entire area.
Yeah.
We also asked us to show on a plan where the FEMA velocity zone ends, from here back to here. This is zone AE elevation 17. This is AE elevation 14. So this entire area is in the velocity zone. Then we submitted a revised plan, the larger scale, showing the site itself, again with coastal dune, which is this whole area in here. It's primarily the stone that you see washed up on the shore area and under the houses. This is the area of the proposed deck. We also talked to DEP, and what they said was that on the coastal dune, decks are allowed, as long as they're on piles and at least 2 feet above the ground. And this is how the deck was originally designed with our first submission, so it does meet the performance standards, so the water can flow underneath it and go from the ocean to the landward side. There's about 8 square feet of alteration due to the size of the piles. There's no vegetation out there. It's all rock and stone. And project's pretty straightforward. So the additional information you look for has been submitted.
Okay. Penny, do you have any other questions? Finish reading?
No, I really don't. Do you want to look at this?
I do, believe it or not.
Yeah, you,
Pat?
This is it. Yeah, all the things we asked for were submitted, and they're on this plan.
I don't get it. So it's within DEP's rules and regulations to build an additional deck on the beach, in the water?
If you meet the performance standards and you're on pilings, and your house is already there, you're not adding a new house or anything, it's...
But you're adding additional areas into the coastal dune?
Yes, and they allow it. The answer is yes, they allow it.
surprise.
It states that right in the Wetlands Protection Act. And I had submitted to the DEP a very generic question about building a deck for an existing house on a coastal dune, an area which is already built out. And their response was, and which we have that.
In an area that was already...
Yeah, in an area which has already been developed, you can have an accessory project on a coastal dune as long as you meet the performance standards. The performance standards here are fairly straightforward. It has to be up high enough so the water can go underneath it. You can't alter the land or remove sand. There is no sand out here. You can't alter the vegetation. There is no vegetation. So in that respect, and this is outlined in your letter, and I also sent Pat a copy of the correspondence from the DEP, which you have as well. And what they look for is not where you are relative to the water. What they look for, and this is in their memo, they look to make sure that this deck meets the performance standards for doing work on a coastal dune. If you notice here, there's a new house that was built in 2013, which has the deck up to the property line. There's also an open deck here on an older house, but these all met the same performance standards. Those haven't changed.
Yeah, Bill, we've actually had people knock down houses and build a bigger house. But if they can conform with the setbacks and...
we're not going to agree on this, so...
Yeah, I got this.
Rule's the rule. We can try to change the rule,
No,
that's all.
I think that it is altering the area, so we're not going to agree on this.
Well,
No, I don't have any questions. I'm surprised, but I don't have any questions.
We had some photos of this before, and it showed the cobble right up to the front of the house.
and on all sides of the house.
And so your deck is going to be on top of that cobble.
Well, the deck's going to be about 4.5 feet above the ground. The top of the deck is going to come off the first floor of the house. The existing deck is 18.2, and the proposed deck is going to be at the same elevation. The ground elevation is 13. Again, that deck has to, those piles have to be at least 2 feet above the ground elevation, or at least at 15. The top of these piles are going to be at 17.
And this is the new FEMA flood? You're working with the new FEMA?
Yes.
Well, that can't be attached to the house, right? The deck, there has to be a space in between the house and the deck.
There's a row of piles at the front, there's a row of piles up against the existing house. So this deck is not attached to the existing house. You can't do that anymore.
Richard?
No, I don't have any questions.
All no questions.
Lisa?
Nothing.
Pat, what do you want to add to
I was
this?
just saying, did this require anything through zoning, any kind of variance here? They're not in the floodplain? Okay.
You can build a deck right up to the property line by law.
But if it were in the floodplain and protection district, you'd have to go,
There's a note on the plan, we're not in the town of Scituate.
right.
Water Resource Protection District, we are in an area of reach. It just has to meet the performance standards, which it does.
Anybody, any questions for Whalen, 57 Seaside Road? It's a deck.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm going to,
Just, I want to just make another,
Frank.
no, she got it.
Okay, sorry.
just wanted to make another announcement that anybody that's here tonight for the lots on Surfside Road, we're gonna just continue that. There's not gonna be any discussion about the lots on Surfside this evening. Okay?
2 on Surfside and 1 on...
Also Gardner Road.
And Gardner Road.
Well, we have to, yeah.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I, is there a reason why? Did I miss
For
something?
which project?
Surfside.
Surfside is a request for continuance.
Oh.
There's a little bit more information that's needed, and it'll be on for June 7th. We're going to schedule both of them for June 7th.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we informed the engineers and the attorneys today, but we didn't have...
So we will open the hearing, but we'll immediately continue it. There won't be
We're not
discussion.
going to discuss it.
So will we get another notice of it? No.
No.
We just need to
June
be...
7th, and again, you can check the town website and give it the time.
Beautiful. Thank you very
And
much.
you can call anytime, too, and you can look at the plans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Camo, 169 Jericho Road. On May 17th, 2017, at 6:45 PM, the Town Hall of Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, Section 30700, Town of Situate Code of Bylaws, regarding the application of David Camo to raise and rebuild a single-family dwelling on property located at 169 Jericho Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
They're going to put them on.
It's right on the corner.
My name is Paul Maravito from Ross Engineering Company, representing the owner of the applicant of the property, David Camo.
Swing this a little bit so people can see it too. Another big one down there.
This property is located at 169 Jericho Road. Where's the last house on the left? Just before you get the turn of the road, which is right here.
The ocean.
The land around it is owned by the town of Scituate. It's the parking lot for the beach area.
Yeah.
And Mr. Camo has purchased the existing dwelling and an outbuilding behind it, both of which will be raised. And in its place, there's a proposed single-family dwelling to be constructed in the outline shown in orange on the plan. The site is in an AE zone, elevation 15 on the new maps. So the top of the foundation, there's a proposed garage underneath. This is the entrance to the garage in here. The first floor of that house is going to be an elevation. The first floor of the house will be at elevation 22.2. And the garage slab is just above ground level at elevation 10.5. The first floor of this house will be well above the FEMA elevation requirement. There is some existing asphalt pavement to the rear of the property, which is going to be removed. That will be planted as a lawn area. To the rear of the building, this blue area will be a patio made out of pervious pavers. In the area where the cars would come into the garage, perhaps park here, there's also going to be a pervious pavers in this area here. This is all sandy soil here, so it makes sense to put the pavers in there to let the water go through it rather than run off into the town property or the house next door, which is also owned by Mr. Kamala. We have been to the zoning board. The existing house actually encroached into the street. We're going to push it back. We're going to meet all the setbacks on the side and the rear. This was in the Scituate floodplain district. They issued a special permit for a substantial improvement as well. So all the other permits that were required to file prior to coming here have been obtained. The appeal periods have run out. We went to them last fall. There's 6 flow-through panels on the house here, on the foundation. This will be a reinforced concrete foundation with a flow-through.
It doesn't have to be on the island?
It's on a foundation?
Sure. It's in an AE zone. All of these houses were recently built. This one and the 3-story house next door, that's all poured concrete foundation. This whole area is in an AE zone, not a velocity zone.
AE what? I'm sorry.
AE elevation.
Yeah, AE, what?
Elevation 15.
15.
It actually came up 4 feet from 2012. The velocity zone is up on the mountain here, on the beach, and again, this is Turner Road. This is the parking lot, and there's houses on the beach here, and that area is in a velocity zone. But this is a flood zone.
But there will be breakaway panels, you
Yes,
just
there
said.
are. We have to do that, both to meet your requirements, but also the building code and the FEMA construction codes. The grade change here is very minor. The site's relatively flat, and we're going to keep it flat. There's actually a net decrease in the impervious area. The reason is that all this asphalt is coming out, and everything around it's going to be pervious. There's a small patch of asphalt here that'll stay, but everything else will be a lawn. We're going to install some rosa rugosa around the perimeter. Both to act as a privacy fence, if you will, between the parking lot and this property here. And again, this is his lot as well, so. There are no performance standards here other than building the house in accordance with the state building code and the FEMA construction requirements, which your regulations refer to as well. So I think for that, all in my presentation and answer any questions you may have.
Paul, what's the difference in the footage with what's there as opposed to what you're doing?
The square footage?
Yes.
It's pretty much double.
18% decrease in...
Of the footprint.
Impervious, but I mean the footprint, difference in the
I don't know
footprint.
the exact number, but if I can just show you here, there's a covered porch.
What's the resource here?
Yes, yes.
The resource is the ocean,
Yeah.
and
structure
there's wetlands out
And put
there.
it into here, it's probably
Quite
a
a ways
5% increase.
And how far back are you moving the house? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the plan quite close enough.
Oh, the house was into the street.
Yeah, I know, I've been there, yeah.
And we pushed it back 6 inches.
Yeah,
The
it was
zoning
in
board
the street.
held us to the rear yard setback of 20 feet. And we do meet the side yard setbacks are 8 feet. This is 12.7, and this is 15 feet. So, the footprint of this building is essentially about, just by eye, about 5% bigger than this existing structure in this house with a covered porch.
Thank you.
And if
So
you look
it's
at the
adding
porch,
this in.
Richard, it looks like the whole thing's going about 5 feet.
Yes, I've got a picture of it, I was there today.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's moving about 5 feet back, if you include the porch. Looking at your scale here.
reduction of impervious. What is he taking out?
He's taking out this.
You said, Paul, just
Down.
6 inches?
Down.
Sidewalk.
Right there? Oh, the covered
This
porch
one.
is just on the
Well,
side.
yeah,
It's not
you know
covered.
what, it's
What's the
only,
resource here?
This is the
Is this a
walkway.
Barry?
Okay.
See
Land
this
subject.
pump out
Gotcha,
here?
okay. I thought this
That's
was
it?
covered porch.
This is
The
no
outer-
barrier.
It comes down here.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I gotcha, okay.
the pavement comes
Yep.
into
Yeah.
here.
This is the last one of the bunch.
I got it now, yeah. It looked like that was connected.
Great improvement.
Okay.
no, I'm all set.
So this is land subject to coastal
Storm, land subject to coastal storm.
flow. What is the garage doing? Is that
It's on.
gonna be a solid foundation too?
It's under the
Yes.
house.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, this is a solid foundation wall.
Oh, it's under the house?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, you see the word garage? in the
yes, I do.
right corner?
Yep.
It's actually on an angle.
Yeah, it's underneath.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
See, the garage goes from here to here. He's got a garage door. He put the cars underneath. By doing that, he doesn't have to park on the street.
Yeah.
So the garage would be over here where the deck is now, essentially.
Yes. All of the parking is
what it looks
underneath
like
the
now.
house. In summertime, we had photographs of the zoning board to show cars parked on the street on
Oh,
both
yeah.
sides because they're going to the beach because
Yeah.
the parking lot built up.
Yeah.
Richard?
I hear you.
Oh, I think it's an improvement.
Paul?
No, I'm good.
Lisa?
All set.
Pat?
Did they consider pilings or anything, Paul? We're trying to,
No,
we're trying to limit the number of places with this channelization and,
everything in this area is on.
I know, we're trying
It's in an
to
AE
promote and encourage, but yeah, legally he can do this.
I mean, building the concrete foundation, he can have the parking underneath for all the vehicles and keep them off the street.
Well, you could
And
do
meet
that
the
with pine.
regulations.
That's right,
Right.
period.
Except for if you have land subject to coastal storm flowage and you have foundations, you are getting more channelization, and
Yep.
we're trying to reduce that. But you could also park under pilings too. But anyway, did the building department look at the structurals for this? They've already seen structural plans?
No, those will be, the foundation plans will be submitted with the building department. The plan I submitted to you is the foundation plan. It shows the size of the house, it shows the flow-through vents,
Yeah.
and we'll probably look for the stamp of the structural engineer on the structural plans. He has to do that in order to meet the FEMA requirements and the state building code.
Did you see that?
Okay, so you brought in the vent plans tonight? Yeah. Oh, okay, I haven't seen those.
This is,
Oh, okay.
Not an engineer,
All right.
so he can't stamp
What do you
the
get?
engineer.
6 of...
Oh.
6.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Do you mind letting those guys know again, take it, we want to keep the doors open.
too hot.
Yeah, the only other thing, I guess, was, I had 2 questions. The amount of fill, is it less than a foot?
Way less than a foot. That site's relatively flat, and the pavers are gonna take up the back of the house and the side. This will just be a lawn area. We don't need to change the grades out there. The land slope from elevation 11, this is 10 in here. I mean, the whole site's within a foot of each end.
And the only other thing is that, as you approach the beach, there's a lot more vegetation there currently. A lot of that's gonna be removed, and it's gonna be
No,
pavers.
That's on the town property.
On that point there?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
town owns this.
This piece here?
They own all this.
Yeah.
You know, that may become an area for bicycle parking or some kind of, we suggested that to them.
So you're doing Rose Regosa on the parking lot
Yes.
side?
That's all full of Rosa Regosa now.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to address 169 Jericho? I guess, Pat, the only thing that, where you are putting the concrete foundation in, Paul, and Pat's concerns about, that water being redirected or whatever, I would think about the plantings in these areas and make sure that they were as stable as possible. I mean, we know in most cases, the water from that area isn't so much coming over the beach. It's actually coming from the north.
What it does in this area here, this is the locus here, this is Foam Road and Notice Road, it's coming right down in here.
Right.
It's actually, the second house over is where that water comes.
Right.
There's a drain pipe in back of that house, which we found years ago, and the town had to fix it. It's a 40-foot drain, it's since been replaced, but that's the pipe that goes into the harbor. It's exactly over here.
It's not my first dance.
Pardon?
It's not my first dance. I know which way the water goes.
But what happens, this land here in the parking lot, the Turner Road, is also open down toward that.
Right. So what he's saying is, and I think it's a good valid point, is I understand you can build this. You can build a concrete foundation. There's a lot of pros to that in terms of having things protected and pipes and all that sort of stuff. What I'm saying is that foundation will divert water to some degree when water's really moving through that area. And so anything that we can do to stabilize the ground around it with plantings and stuff would be beneficial.
Okay. I mean, this will help with that because this is pavement now, and we're going to put the plantings around here. This plantings here now, this will be pervious pavers. Again, because the footprint is relatively the same as the old one, the water coming up against this building isn't much different than what's there now. But with the lawn area and the pavers, I think that'll help as well. Plus, you don't have any plantings back in here now, and we'll put those in.
Okay.
Could they come down the side there, Frank?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It is a tough spot. When it's going to be a bad storm, but when it is, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And we know we've seen that area just wash out before.
Well, that's why I'm saying, what about coming down? When I'm looking at the plan, the left-hand corner, come to the street from that back corner on the left-hand side, bring Rosa Bowl or something down that, too.
You mean the Rosa Rugosa?
Yeah.
Or something that's well-rooted, Paul. If there's grasses that can be planted that are more deeply rooted. I mean, I think it would be good to see just maybe Brad or somebody's got some input on that. We just know that there's a lot of scouring. We know where the water comes from, and we know how much it moves through there. The houses on the other side of Jericho were totally undermined in the blizzard of '78 and a couple of the other storms
In
because...
91.
Right.
I saw it too.
Yep. Okay.
So
Maybe we can look at
ask-
that.
Yeah, for some more plantings on that.
Yeah, you should have to put plantings on the west side, the westerly line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the Rosa Rugosas out there, I've had to walk through them, they're pretty solid.
Well, they're rugged, and once again, and there's some, I know that there's different grasses that can be more deeply rooted.
Yeah, that's true.
That would help. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Nobody else in the audience?
I make a motion to close.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's Carol, can you remember those?
Gilson Road, RT Spence Trust, 12 Gilson Road, Rays, SF? Rebuild duplex. Carol's got a lot of abbreviations in. On May 17th, 2017, 6:45 PM in the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Section 131, Chapter 131, Section 40, Mass General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, regarding the application of Gilson Realty Trust / Richard Spence, our trustee, to raise a single-family dwelling and construct a duplex on property located at 12 Gilson Road, Scituate. Butters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering. Representing Gilson Road Realty Trust, Richard Spence, the property owner, with us here tonight in the audience. This is a notice of intent that was filed for the raising and reconstructing of a dwelling at 12 Gilson Road. The property is currently developed with a single-family home. I'm going to go up to the plan here and highlight the lot. The lot is highlighted in bold. Gilson Road is on the right side of the plan here. There's an existing single-family home located right here. It's serviced by public water and public sewer service down an existing driveway located in this location out to Gilson Road. You see the existing tree line. Between the house and the tree line is lawn area or grass area. What I've highlighted in blue, this represents the bordering vegetated wetland on the site. Off of that, in red is the 50-foot buffer zone, and in green, the 100-foot buffer zone.
Do you want to turn the...
I've also highlighted contour elevation 14. Elevation 14 is the contour elevation associated with the FEMA floodplain in this location. The proposal here is to take down the existing dwelling and to construct a new duplex unit. This lot is 3 acres in size. Situate zoning allows properties that have twice the minimum lot size to be constructed as 2-family or duplex units. The building is largely located in the same location as the existing building. The existing building is located with a setback of 52 feet from the wetlands. The proposed building proposes a setback at 60 and a half feet from the wetland resource area. You can see we're holding this southerly side and we're going to the north with the proposed building. The water and sewer services already are up to this location. We would simply be extending them 6 or 8 feet within the footprint of that unit to connect to the new building itself. The grading is very minimal, just around the back side of the foundation here. This kind of sits on top of a knoll that's out there. Very minimal grading along the back of the property. We have an erosion control barrier that would encompass our down gradient limit of work, and we would line it out around the driveway during construction.
How the hell are you getting in there? Greg, where's the driveway? How are you getting in there?
Sure. The driveway is it's a light line right here, edge of gravel.
Oh, I see it now.
Existing gravel driveway.
Oh, okay.
This piece. And it's got a water and a sewer line under it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just couldn't...
We're not proposing any change to that driveway. We'd use it as is.
So the land in front of this duplex actually belongs to the neighbors?
Correct.
Yeah, there are two
Yeah.
single-family houses out front on these 2 lots.
Oh, on both lots? Okay. Okay.
So how much are we adding into the 50 and 100 respectively?
Sure. The footprint here, in the 50-foot buffer zone, there's currently no building inside the 50-foot buffer. And we're not proposing any building inside the
Okay.
50-foot buffer. Between the 50 and the 100, the existing building is 40 feet by 30 feet. That includes a piece of the deck, or the board of the deck here that extends out off the side of the building. What you'll see is the duplex here starts at the edge of that existing deck and then starts this way. It's being replaced with a block here. This represents one of the units. This is a 40 by 30 unit.
So it's doubling?
It's
If the existing's 40 by
close-
30...
Yeah, it's doubling. That second unit, though, extends outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
You're right. So it is just about the same of the existing in the
Inside the
100?
buffer.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Bill?
That's it, thank you.
I'm good.
No questions. Lisa?
Nothing.
Pat?
Is the driveway staying gravel?
Yeah.
Yes.
For this? Okay. I think the only other thing is there was no wetland flags visible out there, no wetland report.
Already
So we had tide flags and
The flags are up. They're a little hard to find.
There's some
They were
yellow
flagged-
ones.
They were flagged a while ago, so I can do a site walk and show you flag locations.
All right, what do they, I mean, is there a narrative they could put in there what they found and maybe a couple of soils?
Who flagged that, Greg?
Terry McGovern flagged those.
Yeah, he's a PLS.
Correct. Land surveyor.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a wetland
Yeah,
scientist.
we've had wetland scientists, we've required PWSs,
Okay.
so.
We can have Brad go out and do a flag and a narrative report on it.
And that, in the
that-
back,
Is
is
that
that channel,
up there,
that's off the salt marsh, or would that be, I know, I see you have it as bordering land subject to flooding, and
Because it attaches to a salt marsh ultimately, yes.
Okay, and that's a ditched salt marsh that becomes a bordering vegetated wetland?
Correct.
Okay.
Pat, I wonder if it's, I mean, I understand, we want to make sure we have the wetlands line right, but by the same token, I mean, I look at where the house is, the existing house is, and what's being removed, there's a driveway, there's not a lot of impact on the site that's not already there.
Right, but the wetland line is in place for a while, and it impacts what gets done in the future. Someone wants to put a garage or a pool or something like that, and we're living with a wetland line that hasn't been confirmed, so.
True.
I mean, we wouldn't need a peer review wetland person to go out there. If we, you know, we could accept the report from Brad Holmes and walk it.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, and if that was done in the next 2 weeks, if this is, you know, we could close an issue if we get information next time.
We could have the orders ready, that's what you're saying.
Is there any place in here, I didn't actually go out to the site, is there any sensitive area that you want to see any reason to protect, or any wetlands, like any wetlands markers or anything like that?
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's kind of on the high spot on the land, and it definitely slopes off towards, it just that, you know, to get the line correct, I didn't see any other, you know, any vernal pools or anything like that. It's all briar and wetland to the north, to the right of the site.
All right.
It's a peep.
So it's not a wetland.
And there's
So
no
we need to
floodplain
continue.
issues, you just, everything is outside, and no venting, no foundation. You used the 2016?
Yeah.
It is different.
So, well, that's, I guess, do we really want to close this?
Well, we'd be getting new information, but we could have that information and
So we could close and issue?
next
Yeah, we
time.
gotta continue and then close an issue on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Next meeting. Okay,
Is
so,
there anybody, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I have 14 Gilson, if you can point out my property, Greg, thank you.
Name?
And your name?
Fiona Benson.
Yep.
I have questions on, you say 3 acres to have a duplex. Is that 3 buildable acres? Is it 3 acres of wetland? What is exactly?
not building.
No. This is in the, I believe it's in the 20,000 square foot zoning district. And so this lot itself is 3 acres in size. It's certainly not all buildable. Everything beyond this blue line is considered wetland resource area. What's outside of that blue line, though, is upland area. That upland here is about 1.25 acres in size. So with a duplex, if you have twice the minimum land area, so you take 20,000 square feet times 2 is 40,000 square feet, which this property has, it allows the duplex.
It just seems it's going to be right on top of my fence.
It does comply with zoning. Zoning has a minimum setback to a side lot line. In that district, it's a minimum setback of 15 feet. This one here is at 18 feet on the lot.
Do you know if these will be rental units or will they?
Fiona, I don't mean to interrupt you, but our hearing is pretty much a wetlands purview. You know, help yourself to
Zoning and
talk with the
planning.
applicant
Yeah.
after the meeting. If there's a wetlands issue, which we sort of were just addressing, those are the things we want to take up this evening, and we do have a couple other hearings. So those things we'd like to stick to, and then if there's others that have some building question or area question or something, it's either Greg or the building department or the zoning. And I'm not trying to sweep that piece under the rug, but we'd like to stick to the purview that the commission has in this. But, you know, we certainly want to make sure the wetlands are protected and there's not more impact or anything like that. Is there not enough area to deal with the stormwater piece on this?
No, it's a raise and rebuild that's going to be in the same location. I don't think we're going to trigger any of the stormwater bylaw thresholds.
Do you think that you'll impact those folks in any way with any of that? Is there any concern?
No, the drainage from this here generally runs in either a southern direction, or it runs in a western direction down to this wetland. This is kind of the top of a hill here. This is all flowing this way toward the wetlands itself.
Okay?
Anybody
We're gonna-
else?
I'm going to continue. I'm waiting for him to give me the okay.
You want a continuation? Make a motion.
I make a motion to continue 12 Gilson Road to June 7th at 6:15.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are you doing the next Maple Street?
Yep.
If you want to hang around for a minute after Maple Street, you're out for, oh no, you're still going. So maybe you want to catch up with the applicant or the engineer. Okay?
Did you say 6:15?
Yes. Oh,
Homes, Lot B, Maple Street, new build.
excuse me, Frank. I have to, we have the kids coming in at 6:15.
Yep.
So I'm going to put them at 6:20.
Cool.
These guys, we
Gilson.
scheduled them, we doubled.
I doubled, but the kids are going to be here at
You want to
6:15.
move it even further back, or?
Well, we've got Toll Brothers at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get anything that could be quick
Okay.
before them,
All right.
okay? So I'm going to move them back. I make a motion, I rescind the motion I just made for 6:15, and I'm changing it to 6:20.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carol.
Do you want to make your Surfside announcement again?
If anybody is in the room for anything for Surfside Road, those aren't going to be heard tonight. They're going to be, we're going to open them and then continue them. So, right now it's Homes, Lot B, Maple Street, on May 17th, 2017, the 7:15 meeting of the Town Hall. Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Henry Holmes to construct a single-family dwelling, including driveway, septic, utilities, and grading on property located at Lot B, Maple Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
What's he giving me?
Thank you again. For the record, Gregory Morse from Wilson Engineering. We are awaiting Board of Health approval of this. I do expect that this will be continued for another 2 weeks after the conclusion of the hearing.
Okay.
This is a notice of intent that was filed on behalf of Henry Holmes for Lot B, Maple Street. Maple Street is at the bottom of the page here. The property is highlighted in black, the property lines. I was before you approximately 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, with a septic repair at 133 Maple Street, this property directly next door. You recall that there is a river that runs on the southern side of that property. This lot here is a separate lot that is currently just a vacant field. There were no structures, or it's never been built upon in the past. Extending off of that river is the 200-foot riverfront area. I've highlighted that in pink on this lot. What we're proposing here, we're proposing a new single-family home located at this location. We're proposing a new septic system in the back corner of the property, an access driveway along the northern portion of the property, and the grading that's depicted on this plan. You'll notice that the majority of the work is outside of the riverfront area. What we're doing inside the riverfront area is the regrading associated with the septic system. However, the septic, again, is outside of the resource area. This is regraded land. A corner of the building is also located. It's a distance of 197 feet from the river at the corner of the house. This area here is all existing grass. It's field grass. It would go back as grass when it's all said and done. We're proposing a mulch sock around the limit of work, the down gradient portion of the property. DEP had no comments on this. This is not located in a floodplain district. It's not located in natural heritage or endangered species habitat. There were no certified vernal pools within 100 feet of this property.
Penny?
Could that house come forward some, so you're not even, you won't be in the river front at all on those corners? 5 feet, 10 feet? Come forward towards Maple Street, then you're not into those corners.
Yeah. Yeah, we could make that change on the building, pull it out, outside the riverfront. That way, it's just gonna be grading in the riverfront.
Yeah, because, you know, you have the room. It looks like to me anyways, you do.
Okay.
Thank you. Bill?
What's the total square footage? So we're not triggering stormwater here either?
No, this is under the 15,000 square foot threshold.
So we'd be allowed to disturb riverfront area for a septic system?
We're not.
This is it's the grading.
Yeah.
Grading and not the
outside.
system.
Yeah.
The system's
I know.
outside.
Tributary piece would be something that the Board of Health looks at because it's Zone A and water resource protection. So they would be the ones. This doesn't have any of our resource areas within, no wetland
So
buffer or bordering or anything.
But the grading will take place within the 200-foot river setback.
The
And
only
that,
reason they had a file with us was because of that little piece.
and that would be okay, according to, okay, thanks.
And a lot of times the river trigger an alternatives analysis,
Yep.
but for a few feet of grading, there's no structure going in there.
Yep.
And they've pulled it out of, the whole septic system is
Yep.
out of the 200, so.
Yep, okay.
Penny stole my question, if you can move that just so it's out, I'm happy.
No questions. Lisa?
No questions.
Pat, anything else?
I don't know, if you have anything on there for roof drainage for,
We weren't proposing anything, I can certainly add a couple though.
yeah, I don't know, I mean, we've,
Look at it.
yeah, if you could take a look at that. And other than that, it's mostly a Board of Health.
And that brook is a tributary.
It is.
Right.
So
Okay.
it has a 200-foot setback to any septic systems, so that's why it's outside of that.
Anybody in the audience for Maple Street? Questions? So we want to continue and get back to us with those changes, 2 weeks?
Okay, I have a little bit of pickle now, how you want to handle this.
Watch that word.
Yeah, I know. I'm booked. Or maybe I could do, because I haven't done Surfside yet. 7 o'clock is Toll Brothers,
Right.
okay? And right now, I'm booked up to 7 o'clock.
So that's, we have to.
So, but I could move Surfside, because we haven't continued them yet, to after Toll Brothers.
Sure.
And so we could get something that I don't
They may
think,
decide to continue again.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where you gotta be careful, like, if you put 8 o'clock, then you could be sitting here for an hour.
well, I understand that, but I don't, this is going to be something quick, and I hate to put them at 8 o'clock.
Be up to the applicant for the
Yeah.
other one.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we continue Lot B, Maple Street, to 6:25 on June 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Penny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so Carter, Lot 9A, Surfside Road. On May 17, 2017, at 7:30 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700.
Wait a second, I got it.
Oh, sorry.
Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Robert Carter to construct a new dwelling on, including utilities and grading on property located at Surfside Road, Lot 9A, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Make a motion to
There's nobody
continue.
here for that, right? We're just going to make a
Right,
motion.
we have butter information.
You have the green cards on that, Carol?
Okay, so they're going after Toll Brothers. What time do you want me? Toll Brothers, I
Seven.
can't see them not coming, but,
And it's just a wetland review from our walk there, I would say a half hour.
okay, so I'll do 7:30.
How many do you have before Toll Brothers?
I have Gilson Road, I have Lot B Maple, I have the town of Scituate, the reservoir, and we have the kids.
They are
So
all
in
short.
reality, we're not probably going to start Toll Brothers until 7:30.
If I don't see the other ones taking a lot of time. The kids will give the most time to.
So,
But I kind of see we'll start Toll Brothers right around 7.
so you want to just put these for 7:30? And
Yeah, that sounds good. Can I do them both together, or you want to do them separately?
we got to read them separate, so.
Okay, I make a motion to continue Lot 9A Surfside to 7:30 on June 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion
Hold
to...
on. He's got
You
to
have
read
to
it.
open it.
On May
I'm sorry.
17th, 2017, at 7:40 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Robert Carter to construct a new dwelling, including utilities and grading on property located at Surfside Road, Lot 10, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Okay, I make a motion to continue Lot 10 Surfside Road to June 7th at 7:35.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So do we have to open the next one, or just
No, it's open.
continue it?
We're just
Oh,
gonna
all right.
Okay.
So, on those Town of Scituate, DPW, 26 and 32 Gardner Road, drainage easement, that's been requested to continue, Pat?
Yep.
How far out?
I don't know, we've continued it a few times. I don't know if we want to...
Let's move it past that
Let's
one.
move it to the 21st.
The date that you, works for you? Yeah, June 7th or June...
21st.
Keep going.
Go the
21st.
21st.
Relax.
With the 7th or 21st?
21st.
21st.
Because we have a lot, okay.
I make a motion, we continue, who am I continuing?
Town of Scituate
Town of
DPW.
Scituate DPW, 2632 Gardner Road to June 21st at 6:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, I'm going to recluse myself from this.
Okay, we're going to have a continuation of Sunset Road. I think it's 23, if I remember.
Yes.
And I hope everybody here is, for Sunset, appreciates how fast we moved through the last 3. Let people get settled a little bit.
New information submitted by butters.
Oh, my God.
Good. Do you have one yourself?
Did we get this before?
What is this?
It's just going to be for the record.
Should we read this, Pat?
Not now.
No, but should we read it at home?
If you're interested.
Well, I don't know what it is.
Can't read it at home.
Okay,
We don't have copies.
Let's see if we can get some questions answered. This has been a continuation, it's been ongoing for a while, it will go probably a little bit longer. I believe, Pat, that we did have a number of things requested that have now happened over the past month or so, including Bob Gray went out and did the test pits and
Right.
results from that.
Yep, there were a
Can we get-
list of several things that we were looking at, and we knocked off some of them, and one of them was Bob Gray going out to the site and having someone with an excavator trench a few areas and take a number of photos, and it was to establish whether there was a bordering vegetated wetland or an isolated one, and had it been cut off. So that work has been done. I don't know if everybody has seen the photos. Carol was sending them out by email, and if you were able to look at those, we have a set here for people who want to look at it. And we also received Bob Gray's narrative report on what his take was on what he saw when he dug out there.
Yep.
And Greg was there for the proposal for the applicant.
So I would say, Mr. Morse, do you want to have something to say about the report first, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to address a couple of things, not specifically the report. I mean,
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
By all means.
Sure.
Is this the same thing?
So since the last time, the major work that's been done out here, we went out, we excavated some test pits in the presence of Bob Gray to verify the limits of fill that had been brought in along McLean Drive, and also to excavate some test pits out back in what we had proposed as a replication area and behind the former Baron Joseph house. It was really being done to rectify two outstanding enforcement orders. One of the enforcement orders was issued to the McDonald family for filling on McLean Drive, and it was evident based on the test pits that fill had been placed in McLean Drive, up to 18 inches or so of gravel overlaid an old organic layer. I've highlighted in yellow on this plan kind of the limits of McLean Drive from what we can tell is where the fill was placed. What we would propose to do to rectify that enforcement order would be to remove that gravel and then plant appropriate species in that location to replace that wetland that was altered. It was altered, I believe, back in 1998 is when the enforcement order was issued. That in turn then takes the isolated wetland that we had on the eastern portion of the site, the high side of McLean Drive, was flagged as an isolated wetland originally. That would now become a bordering vegetated wetland. The bordering vegetated wetland would also become state jurisdictional, as opposed to, with our original filing, it was listed as isolated and town jurisdictional only. The other area that was investigated was behind the former Baron Joseph house, or on Lot 8, it was in this location. There was an enforcement order issued on that property that stated that there was clear cutting of wetlands. It didn't mention the word fill in the enforcement order, and the test pits that were done out there indicated that there was historic fill, the dredge spoils that I think we all acknowledge were put there a long time ago, but there was no indication of more recent fill or gravel associated with McLean Drive. That area, at this point in time is fully revegetated. I don't know what work is necessary to resolve that outstanding enforcement order. When that was issued, it was issued over 10 years ago. It was requiring Joseph to stop the clear cutting of the wetlands, to file an NOI, and I believe for the site to become revegetated, or propose a planting plan for it to be revegetated. And that's happened naturally over time here. So what we're hoping to do tonight is try to resolve these outstanding enforcement orders, primarily the one along McLean Drive, whether you think that would be acceptable for us to develop a planting scheme, removal of that gravel. Other revisions that we've made, and we're going to be submitting a new plan to document, we've scaled back the size of the house. We eliminated 10 feet off of the western side of the house. We've eliminated our proposed filling of wetland area. Our original proposal had included filling a portion in here to accommodate the house and to accommodate some yard area. We've eliminated that filling of the resource. That in turn eliminates the replication that we had proposed to offset that filling. So the only replication we're talking about now with this project is the replication within McLean Drive itself to clear up that 1998 enforcement order.
So I'm to understand you don't need the land behind Baron Joseph for replication, because you won't have any replication.
Correct.
With the house being made smaller.
Correct. There was an issue brought up by an abutter regarding our replication areas, that the buffers associated with it would extend onto their property. So we're proposing to eliminate our wetland fill, in turn, eliminate the replication area.
Interesting.
Any other questions right now?
Not right now.
Okay.
I was out there when the test pits were done, and it was really, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No.
The line went straight across the road. Your dad did a great job, holes on each side, and
Thank you.
A trench, the whole 9 yards, and it was there.
Clear.
It was what I thought.
Okay.
The EO in 98 suggests the areas that have been, not the drive itself, but the other areas, need to be restored to previous condition. Is it your contention that it has done so naturally to the previous condition? I know that it's filled in, but...
I would say so. About behind the Joseph House is fully vegetated at this point.
Yeah, there's grasses and stuff growing there.
Greg, was there any indication there had been an agricultural exemption requested? That came up in Bob's report. That seemed to be the area that there was a lot of planting going on. We didn't see any in the record, but we didn't know if the property owners had new information.
Not that I'm aware of.
No. So, I mean, this report mentions that there is still more investigation to be determined if there is other fill that was illegal fill, right?
Yeah, I think we'd want to know more about that section.
Okay.
If we can find information
Okay.
about that. I mean, the McLean Drive, there was kind of a time period when it was put in there. It's been discovered to be gravel placed on a wetland, so that there could be a remedy for that.
And Pat, I would want to defer to Pat's opinion too, and the first step here obviously being, what's your opinion on the road? Get the gravel removed and get a planting plan for that next? Or?
Yeah, I've spoken with legal counsel and we've gone back and forth about whether you stick with the language of an old enforcement order or write a new one and start clean, take it out and have a planting plan. With a new enforcement order, you would be writing a new notice of intent to do the work. So that would also be the opportunity to bring in a lot of the information that we felt may have been lacking from the original notice of intent. Straighten out ownership of parcels, the listing of the resource areas, and maybe defining the parcel that you're looking at a little bit cleaner than it was originally. But that's something that, we could talk about with legal counsel. But I think I agree that if we could get the gravel out and a replanting in there, that would be a good first step.
Is Mr. Gray here?
No, his
okay.
report and his photos, and he had a hearing in Sandwich.
Okay.
So is it legal counsel's opinion that an NOI would be the best way to go on this?
Yeah, and DEP, as you...
Oh, he's here. I'm sorry, I couldn't see you.
You're hiding.
Too short.
I mean, I think that DEP for any of these type of things, start with a notice of intent. And I think...
I'm sorry, Brandon, I just couldn't see you. Lisa, you have...
No, I was also at the site with Benny and Pat that day.
Okay, so the first thing would be to make a recommendation to get an NOI in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to see if we want to start with a vote to issue an enforcement order and have part of that be to remove the gravel and replant.
Okay, and pardon me for being confused. Are we issuing a new enforcement order, or are we looking for an NOI, or both?
Well, you would do the notice of intent as part of the enforcement order. Because you're going to be working in a resource area and doing replicating, you really need to do it under a notice of intent, too.
Right, we would do the enforcement order, then they will
It's
file
up
the
to
notice
them
of
to
intent
come
on
in
how
with
they're gonna
notice.
remedy it.
And lay out the, the boundaries and the flagging numbers and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
How they're going to remove it.
So we're filing a new enforcement order, not a continuation of the one from the past?
Yeah, the one from the past really didn't have any remedy to fix what was in there,
Right.
so
So what happens, how do we get rid of the old one?
it's been
That
sitting
was
there
my
for
next
years. It'll be-
question.
Dissolved.
Be upstaged by the new one, I guess.
Just-
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the interest of your client, I would think you want to make sure that was...
So we would reference the old enforcement order and the new enforcement order?
We could put a paragraph in there saying there had been
Just to
one, nothing
tie
really
it in.
happened, and...
Supersedes and replaces.
Okay, supersedes and replaces is the legal
Okay.
term.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay, no, before you make that, I'm just, for the sake of the audience, we're just talking right now about getting that old enforcement order from McLean Drive fixed, basically fixed. That's all we're talking about. With that in mind, are there any questions? Sir, please identify yourself.
Yes, sir. Robert Kraus, I'm an attorney for a number of the abutters. I'm here representing the Bristols, Kenneth North and Susan Bays, and the Demasios. Correct. Thank you. I didn't want to mess up the last name. Those old enforcement orders don't disappear. We do agree with you that you should issue a new enforcement order to delineate, to address the illegal action. If you look at the last page of the recommendations of Mr. Gray, who evidently wanted to be here and suggested that he wanted to make his presentation personally, what was done is frankly rather outrageous, and that's the way he couched it. In the memo that I provided to you, I quote from him, and I use capital letters in bold. That's not my language, that's his, about the illegal fill, and I'm just talking about McLean Drive. Right. I would suggest to you that that's exactly the right thing to do. File an enforcement order, give them an opportunity to do a notice intent, have it overseen by Gray, make sure that delineation is absolutely correct. That's one of the issues that we have that Gabe Crocker, our engineer, has raised about the delineations. I'm glad to hear that Mr. Morse indicated and agrees that this is both state and local jurisdictional. So I would give them an amount of time, overseen by Morse, directed by Morse, hay bales, do everything that is required. Gray knows what he's doing. Mr. Morse is not a wetlands expert, no offense to him. Gray is. And you should have Gray oversee the entire project for the remediation. I would also suggest that during that period of time, the notice of intent that we're looking at today for the construction of the single-family house be either terminated or withdrawn by the applicant. Because it makes no sense for it to be concurrent with an order of conditions or a notice of intent under an enforcement order. And I would also suggest with respect that the enforcement order have teeth, fines associated with any impropriety or going beyond the scope, making sure that it, as opposed to the prior enforcement orders, actually imposes fines if it is not done properly.
Attorney Kraus, thank you very much. By the way, just so people know, we just were handed from, I believe, your office on behalf of all of the abutters.
Yes.
And so this will be in our records. We will have the opportunity to read it before we reconvene for another meeting. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Again, I do hope that you focus on the remediation and the enforcement order and withdraw, terminate, or ask them to withdraw their notice of intent on the house, because the scale of the remediation is enormous. You're just focusing on McLean Drive, but there's other illegal actions that occurred on these combined parcels that this commission must address.
Thank you.
Just say something, thank you for your suggestions, but the commission will make the decisions on wetland replanting, remediation, who we use. This is left to the commission to decide. We appreciate your suggestions, we'll consider them. We also have legal counsel that will look through this report and look at some of the things that you brought up, but we will be directing this.
Well, I appreciate that, sir, and I appreciate your position as the agent. But I would point the attention of everyone on the commission to the bottom of page 5 and the top of page 6 of the, I think it's the April report of Mr. Gray, your own expert, where he says, quote, the illegal fill within the layout of McLean Drive must be removed. All caps bold. This is him. And the lost BVW restored. Again, all caps bold. That's his language. Whether you use Mr. Gray or another expert, that's up to you, of course.
Right.
But given the fact that these enforcement orders have been outstanding so long and are so pronounced, as I heard one of the members indicate when she was out there visiting when they did the test pit, it's an incumbent upon this commission to take very strong action to address this, to protect those BVWs. And again, whether you use Mr. Gray or someone else, sir, it's hardly up to us to decide. But Mr. Gray has obviously very strong opinion. He's a qualified wetlands expert, and why wouldn't you use him? He's provided 2 reports to you, one from January, one from April. It makes all the sense in the world, given his experience in the site, that you use him to continue to oversee whatever work is done on that site.
We fully intend to use them, but it's going to be the decision made by the commission.
And that's the reason we're here tonight, actually, is to put this to bed. We had them dig it up. We know now there is fill. We had said at the previous meeting, the notice of the intent, that's been sidetracked. That's sitting off over here. We're not doing anything with that until this is all corrected. And that's the way I believe the board's going to go. They're going to have to take everything out. They're going to have to revegetate it and so forth. And we will, definitely, like Pat said, but we'll pick who it is to oversee and make sure it's done before we even start back up on the notice of intent for a building.
Yeah, we'll also meet with our legal counsel about
Exactly.
what to do with the notice of intent that is out there, whether it is proper to close that out and do this and start.
Exactly.
But we'll talk about that.
The reason we're here tonight is for this enforcement order.
If I could just add a concern, my clients are interested in moving forward as quickly as possible. Do we have an idea as to how long it would take for the enforcement order, the new enforcement order, to be issued so we can start moving forward with that remediation?
If we make a motion tonight, it will be a day or two?
In the next few days, it
Okay.
should go out.
All right, I just want to make sure that we're...
Any other comments from anyone else? Okay. Want a motion?
So, I make a motion for a new enforcement order for 23 Sunset for the illegal filling of McLean Drive to supersede, I can't say that.
Okay.
To supersede the existing enforcement order from 1998.
Or maybe we just stick with a new enforcement order at this time for this work, and we'll look
Wait a
into
minute.
old enforcement orders just to see if...
Oh, I thought Brandon said it would
Well,
supersede
yeah,
it.
DEP, they weren't totally clear about this. They said you're going back to an old one that no action had been taken on, but I think we'll talk about it again.
But correct me if you think I'm wrong, but this property's changed hands, coming from people who have passed away. It's gone through, at least one, part of it went through a foreclosure. And wouldn't the statute of limitations on an enforcement order come into play here? On an order from 1998? I forget when the other order was issued,
It
but...
runs with the land. The enforcement order
Yeah,
runs with...
it does. It runs with the land, just like orders of conditions run with the deeds. You know, all of a sudden, you look at your deed and you've got outstanding orders. A CSC wasn't done, so forth and so on. To my knowledge, it runs with the land.
I thought there was a provision that if it transferred
It doesn't
ownership...
disappear, no.
Excuse me. Brandon?
Well, a couple things. Certainly I think that's probably a separate issue in terms of what to do with the prior enforcement order. It sounds like the issue is, because this is a continuing condition with the condition of the property as it currently stands, and given that it is a continuing condition, that certainly I think it's dealing with what to do with the prior orders is one thing, but nothing prevents the commission from issuing a new order given the continuing conditions on that property.
And we welcome the new order, but in terms of fines and penalties on an order from 1998 that was never followed up on, I think that would...
This is, we're starting fresh. If you don't do what we're going to ask you to do
Then no
now,
fines and orders.
then that's how I understood it.
It's today's enforcement.
Then-
That's how I
Enforcement
would
order
Then
is
understand
we
we're
it.
will
writing.
go after you, that this is going to get cleared up
Okay,
once and for all.
You're being measured on the enforcement order that we're going to issue.
right, okay.
Sir?
Mr. Chairman, through you to your members, I would strongly suggest to you that in crafting any enforcement order, that you incorporate the language, the very strong language from Mr. Gray's reports.
I
both
got it
of them.
right here.
Not just simply repeat the language from multiple years ago. Take a look at his very precise recommendations and the facts that he recites based on his investigation.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got it right here.
Go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion for an enforcement order for 23 McLean Drive for for the fill within the layout of McLean Drive must be removed and the lost BVW restored. The POR should be revised to show WF, is that a B?
B13.
B13 connected to WFC1 and WFD5 connected to WFC6. The B-series wetlands will now become part of the large C-series BVW.
Second?
that
And
okay, Pat?
before we take a vote, just, that is
Yeah.
coming straight out of Mr. Gray's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I note that the lady stopped reading before the second paragraph, because that might be more extensively
That would be right there.
determined by the
That's
commission
not-
for further investigation.
Thank you. Moved and seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Greg, do you have
Yeah, I'm
anything
not
more you want to add for
doing
tonight? Do you?
No, thank you.
Can I just mention one thing, Richard?
Sure.
In several of the meetings, we've talked about ownership and different pieces and parcels and everything. It's really complicating things and making it harder to focus on who we go after for certain things. And if there were a way to identify parcels more clearly with the exact owner and just the rest of the parcel that's not part of this, it would be great to have that out of play. You know, old farmlands and
Yep.
things like that. This is pretty much a house lot on an area and a road that needs to be removed and restored. If that could be done, that would be helpful.
Sure.
Okay, just to reiterate for all of you that are here, we've issued an enforcement order. It will be formally issued within the next couple of days. Then the burden becomes on them to get the work done. They will, in order to do the work, have to submit to us a notice of intent. And at that time, assuming we go along with that, they would then be issued a specific order of conditions that they will have to adhere to. So this is going to take a little time, it always does. But just so you understand, step by step, we will go through this. And
Rich, I also think that for a point of measuring, that we might want to come up with some kind of dates as a measure point to be completed by, because otherwise, things have a tendency to get away.
But I believe it's in their interest to go as quickly as they can, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
It won't be an issue.
They have to do that. We won't look at a house site until this is done.
We can't really consider the initial NOI until all of this is done. Sir?
Is it the commission's will that Mr. Gray, who has expertise in this matter, oversee the work that is done, either the delineation or overseeing the remediation as proposed in this enforcement order?
It will be up to the commission to decide exactly how that will proceed. I would envision that we will ask Mr. Gray to be heavily involved in this, but exactly how we do it, we will determine.
And Mr. Gray might not be available.
Yeah.
One last point, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
before I wear out your patience in this hot room. What is your intent with respect to the present notice of intent that's before the commission?
There is no-
Are you going to ask them to withdraw it, or is it just going to...
We haven't decided.
It's up to the...
What I think, I don't have full information on what to do on that. I'll be meeting with legal counsel, and we'll run that by DEP. It's a good point to bring up, and we want to do the right thing, too. So-
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So Pat, should we continue it for now while we decide what to do with it?
Continue the existing one and then begin the process for the new one?
Right.
Yep, and then make sure the applicant is agreeable to that.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the best
Okay,
idea.
and we'll find out if, what we need to do on that. Okay.
So considering that the enforcement order is going to take a little time to get done, and you'll have to get an NOI in, would you say 2 meetings, 3 meetings to continue it to?
Yeah,
We're talking the 21st or the first week in July?
I would think the first week in July for the current NOI
For
filing.
the current.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then we'll need to continue.
So are we
to the
ready
existing one
for
with a
me?
date, and then we'll find out more.
Well, this is what I'm going to do right now. For the first week in July, I'm going to continue the existing NOI. All right? And they will get the enforcement order.
And then they'll have to
Then
submit
it's
it.
up to them to quickly file with us, and hopefully we'll have
Yeah, and we could
seen
talk
them
to our
before
council.
then.
Right, well,
We could talk to our council about.
And the butters will be re-notified, so
Yes,
there'll be
the
a
butters will
reminder.
get another notification.
All right.
How about contingent on the fact, the continuation of the NOI, if our legal counsel deems that's how we should handle it?
Well, no, we are going to continue
No, we
it
have
because
to
we're not
continue.
closing it. So
Right.
we
Yeah.
are continuing
We-
it. Then
we
at that
could just
point, on
close it at the
July
next
1st,
meeting.
Yep.
whether we want to close it,
Right.
whether they want to withdraw it with,
Without prejudice, yeah. See, we can't just eliminate it. We'd have to vote to close it, to get rid of it, or to
So you're
We'll get advice on
continuing
that.
to July 1st?
July 5th.
July 5th, I'm sorry.
At 6:30?
First thing.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, can I give you just one last point?
Nope, we're
As a
closed.
parting shot. Nothing that they're
We're
doing to
closed.
seek to address this enforcement or should be considered in any way part or whole mitigation for whatever they want to do in the notice of intent
It
for the
won't be.
residents. This is simply to repair and address legal actions done at the site.
We know
Just to be
what we're
clear,
doing.
for the record.
He's
Covered that.
doing
Thank
more
you.
harm than damage.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What's he think we're stupid?
Carol, I'm not on the web, so I'll have to do it when I get home. All right.
Everybody know who he is.
Paid me money 'cause-
Listen to Sullivan. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do it.
So what's the next thing?
Last thing, Jason's Lane, continuation.
Okay, let's do it. We don't need him.
How are you?
Okay.
Okay, we've got,
All right, it's warm in here.
the chairman coming back.
They want to just talk outside.
Yeah, outside.
Way outside.
Next,
Throw him out of the building now?
can I make a request, next meeting we have air conditioning on?
Can't say anything. I really have no...
Oh, hey, listen, we're,
Hot, very hot.
Frank, can Carol talk to you about this next?
Just let the building.
No.
We're still waiting for the DEP number and for the fireman permit.
This is, we got Jason's line.
Won't take long then.
Huh? This shouldn't
Did you
take
hear me?
long.
Did you hear me?
Thank you,
We
Richard.
get one.
No.
You.
The answer is no.
So, Murphy, 5 Jason's Lane, detached garage, accessory. This was continued, there's still no DEP number?
No. Called today. They still haven't received the payment check. I've issued a second check to them. Is it possible to close pending receipt of that number? Or is that something you have to continue for another 2 weeks?
I got a call from Brenda Harper this morning.
Yeah, I printed out her email and sent the check in last week, so I did call DEP myself this morning, and they still
Who's
hadn't
Brenda Harper, DEP?
processed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick Mbowe?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we thought DEP was going to have comments that we had to consider as part of the record, I would say we should hold up, but we haven't had any comments on any even much more complicated ones than this, so I don't think that would be a problem.
Without a DEP number anyway.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. But we could close and close the orders.
Yeah.
Can we close and still issue orders? Yeah?
No.
No, we're not issuing orders.
Close it, and then when they get a DEP number.
Then we can
Then we can issue orders.
Then if they don't
I
ever get
thought after we
How
closed
can we
it,
issue
couldn't
orders after it's
introduce
closed?
anything.
We always issue
Always
orders
get a
after it's
number.
closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't be
But we
taking
can't
any
hear any new
testimony, right?
information, though.
If
We're
they
not-
made a
it's done.
complicated,
We're just waiting for a DEP
statement
number.
on it.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so let's
Should
do that.
come in the next
What
day.
happens if they don't get it within 21 days?
Yeah.
All that rubbish.
I'll drive the check to the DEP. They'll have it. Believe me, it's probably going to pop up in the next day or two. So, okay.
Frank?
I don't have anything else for you guys. Pat, did you want to comment, anything else?
You were out there.
Which one? Oh, on this particular
Yes.
project? Yeah, if you want to talk about what's been...
Sure, so this was a proposed garage. It was located in the riverfront area at 5 Jason's Lane. At the last meeting, it was requested to do a site walk. Lisa, Pat, and myself did a site walk last Friday.
Yeah.
As a result of that site walk, I did issue a revised plan. I just brought it in. We did move the garage forward so that it is over the existing driveway a little bit more. We moved it
okay.
about 3 feet forward, so it's over the existing pavement. It was also requested that we provided design alternatives analysis. I've outlined 3 alternatives in a letter. The preferred alternative is obviously our design here. It's preferred for a number of reasons, primarily the fact that the garage is located over the existing driveway and over the existing shed location. It has a net increase of 0 square feet of impervious area. Design alternative 2 was to place the garage on the right side or north side of the driveway. It would be further from the resource area, but it still would be in the resource area, and that area is heavily treed at this point, so it would require vegetation removal. We ruled that alternative out. The third alternative would be placing the garage in front of the existing house. Again, it would be still in the resource area. It would require replacement of the septic system, and it would be an increase in impervious surface. So where we've cited it, there's a 0 square foot increase in impervious. It's no closer than what exists today. That's the preferred alternative, and I believe that seemed acceptable in the field.
I'm fine.
So we're going to close.
And once we get a
Well,
DEP
if
number...
anybody else has any comment, anybody in the audience has any comment?
Yeah, it was good to get this information. This stuff is required. In this case, this is
Sure.
riverfront right there. And, when we were out there, we talked about some debris that can be moved, and we can make that a condition. It's a lot of yard clippings and branches and stuff.
So we want to close and make it a condition that we have a DEP number?
Well, Carol says she couldn't even do the orders without a DEP number.
Yes, so,
So when it gets, then you do the
Right.
orders.
Right.
Okay.
okay.
Make
so
a motion to close.
I make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Night, Greg.
Thank you.
You know, Frank, and if you hear one,
Do you have to go to the zoning?
hear one, let me know.
What are you looking for?
The wood frost.
Wood frog or tree frog?
No, wood frost.
What's cross?
Vernal pool wood frost. Because that is a vernal pool.
Well, they'll catch it.
Those are the crabs.
Yeah, but we haven't heard any,
The wood frog, he's very distinct.
Yeah, he sounds like a duck, right?
Duck.
pocket.
Gonna get one soon.
Okay, now we got all the detail stuff.
He's a jerk.
You want to do orders of conditions, certificate of
We have an
compliance?
informal.
What about the
Who's wait-
informal?
Wait.
Who's,
There's 2 certificate of compliances,
yeah,
maybe?
we got Schwartz at
Revised.
Kimberly.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
What?
Countrywide.
With some country.
Oh, yeah, you're CSC. Yeah, we've got a.
Do that you're next, and then you can get out of here.
Thank you. Getting weary.
I don't have something to put up on the pedestal, so I'll just...
Okay.
Sure.
So this is an open order of conditions that's going back a way, and I'm not quite ready to put the whole structure up. I wanted to begin some work. So you gotta be careful we don't have cleared lots for long periods of time, so I just asked him to come up, show what he has in mind, and see if it makes sense.
So,
This is a approved house lot, and it's right outside the 50, in, what's the name of the street? Sorry.
When you go in Kimberly Court, is it right on the right-hand side? Is it on the right-hand side?
Yeah, it's
Just
on
going in?
Yeah. so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it now.
So, I'm sorry, but I'm unclear of what we're doing.
It's the informal.
So, you wanted to sell the lot, he wants to...
Well, let me tell you,
Hey, your name and just for the record.
okay, Paul Schwartz, Kimberly Estates Trust is the lot. We're the owners of the property, we're also the abutters. we're now ready to start doing something with the lot. Our phase one is to put in the erosion control to bring in the fill for the driveway, which is part of the replication and wetland. And then we're also, as part of the design, there's a arborvitae planting as well as replication, as well as a drainage swell that's going to go onto the property, okay? We're not ready to do a foundation yet. We want to do this work this summer, clear the lot, get the driveway in. To get the lot cleared, we have to put the driveway in, which is, the filling of some of the wetland and doing the replication. So our plan is to do that, and then once we finalize the design of the house and the foundation, then, go into that phase two. We may opt not to do we might end up selling the selling the lot, or selling our house and moving next door. So we're still kind of, on the fence between keeping or, upgrading to another house. But we do want to move to this next step and get the lot ready, so we can go to the design of the, architect and get to that, to the point where, we can do that. We're not going to put in a foundation. We're not going to run any pipes. Right now, it's just to start to get the lot ready, so we can, envision a house and then determine what type of house we want to put on the lot.
So is the work that you just described, though, is that part of what's on here already?
Some of it's on there already, yes.
So do you have something that isn't on here already that's been approved?
My understanding was all the stuff was approved, it's just the timing of when you wanted to do it. You didn't make changes to the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a
So what's the
pre-construction
problem?
meeting?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to start.
Yeah.
Or not. It would be more erosion controls. If you're gonna wait 6 months, or someone else is gonna take it on and revise the plan, they'd have to refile.
Right.
Okay.
And we've had that issue before where, say you sell a piece of property, or even if you change your mind about something, you just want to be sure that you come back to the commission or whoever does that prior to making those changes. You've been permitted to do a specific piece here, the driveway, the wetlands replication, the swale, the clearing is what's on this plan. And if you deviate from that, then you want to ask the commission to amend those orders to do that.
I've read through all 14 pages of the order of conditions. And it's clearly stated several times.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, Pat asked me to come and discuss this with you folks.
I don't think there's any reason.
We were out there.
Yeah.
We're good.
I mean, certainly some people take their time to do some of these things, as long as the steps for the erosion control are in place, and you do the wetlands replication piece for the filling that you're going to do in the wetlands. Those things are important to the commission. Controlling any water that's flowing off of this, so we don't want siltation going into the wetlands. That's the sort of thing we'd be concerned about. And just keep in mind that your orders are good for so long, and you may have to continue. We only approved this last year.
I think we extended, no, it was
No,
3 years ago.
it was my very first site visit.
Wow.
It was a while ago.
It flew by.
It does.
Watch when your orders are you may want to ask the commission to.
I have 1 year
Yeah.
from June 5th.
So
You got a year to go.
So,
But you want to come back to us before they go.
Ask for continuance.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah. But I want to start doing this work this summer.
Yeah, no,
And then, I'll probably have to come back to you and say, okay, this is the foundation for the design of the house that we want. And, we're going to try to make sure it fits within that footprint that we've already put forward. So we're going to go through this process, but, we're going to start doing it.
Have fun this summer.
What's that?
Have fun this summer.
Yeah.
But I think, Pat, do you want to see him on site for anything?
Well,
Is
and
it-
some things are minor, too. We could do a revised plan, it doesn't even cost, does it cost anything, revised plan, or is that just a step? Yeah, revised plan, if it was a big change, it'd be an amendment, you'd have to let abutters know and stuff, but sometimes we may want like a stormwater piece done early on, or the replication done early on, in case people go belly up, we don't want to be left with those things left, so. So just keep us in touch with
Well, I
what
think
you...
typically the wetlands replication is an important piece to get done right away. You're gonna fill a piece of wetlands, and we want the replication
Yes,
done.
understood, because that says in the order of conditions, that has to be done up front before we do any filling.
Right. And I think to what you're doing isn't a bad thing in a way, is that you get some areas stabilized, and then there's not as much runoff or something like that. So it could be positive.
Good luck. Thanks for coming in, appreciate
Good.
it.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
Is this your plan?
Yes, sir.
And Bill, this is back when Phil was allowed. We haven't had any of those in a long time. So-
That was the very first one we did.
But it was way before us. It was approved well before we got it.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
700, 704 Country Way?
Thank you. All right,
He's
take
looking
care.
for a CSA.
This is Certificate of Compliance.
Yeah, 700, 704.
Partial, very much a partial. Yeah, these two houses were just recently completed, and, you know, there's seed down on the grass. There's plantings down. We had required plantings in the back. That was done. There's a lot of cleanup on the site that was done.
Oh, this is across from the Ellis driveway.
Yep, right across. There's a lot of stuff undone, and it's one of those, like, we could do partial, we could request that certain things be done. So you have a closing coming up, or?
We do, we have two
Yeah.
closings, one
Okay.
this week
So,
and next.
you know what, I didn't go out there to take a look at that. How much work is left to be finished?
Well, we don't have the engineered plans, so we don't know what's underground. The driveway appears as it did on the approved plan, the septic's in, grass is in. The backyard now is terraced, and I think that's a change from what we originally seen. It's probably better, but originally it was just a sloped grass lawn, and now there's 2 layers. The zigzag crushed stone, is that gonna be a wall, or was that always gonna be crushed stone along the
That was
back?
required as drainage from the new house. That was
Okay, I
on the
couldn't
right.
tell from this whether that was a wall, okay. We don't have any pictures of underwater roof drainage stuff. Looks like this pipe's going into the back on that top terrace.
Yeah.
And that was done in the...
Yeah, there's stormwater drain directly off the top of that first terrace,
Okay.
off the back of the house.
And it was kind of a combination with us and planning board because it was a shared driveway, so they came in on the stormwater piece. But we don't have any plans.
Morse is the engineer for this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So can he get a letter or something that things were built in accordance with the plan?
Yeah, there's...
Which we have, correct?
Yeah.
No, Pat's not happy.
There's a letter saying it's in compliance with plan. It's not, plus the drawing was a different house. So it wasn't that useful.
Missed it by that much.
But anyways.
Well, wait a minute.
I'm confused by that.
So okay.
Well, if it's a different house, how does that
Different
apply?
house was shown from some other address, Newport Road or something.
No, I corrected that. Carol was out of the office, I believe, for 3 or 4 days. I sent you probably 10 emails within that time period. One of those was to state that I sent you a plan for the wrong address, and I sent, along with that email, an updated plan for this address.
All right, we can look through and find it, but yeah, the one I had today out at the site.
Yeah, I'm working on multiple projects right now, and I happen to, from my phone, forward the incorrect as-built.
All right.
That's in Hull, by the way.
And I guess, in the end, we could get the full as-built with all the details on it. I don't know how many details Greg put on his plan. Like, this one here doesn't show a lot of things we asked for, like underwater infiltration, underground infiltration. But I mean, for a partial, plantings are in, lawn is seeded, houses are located correctly, driveways in place. I mean, I think we could do a partial, but there's another step that's gonna be needed.
Right, on the items that you're confident in or can demonstrate have been completed.
Right, one thing that could get taken care of right away is right over the wall, everything get dumped there. There's a lot of debris over the back wall.
Behind, on either side?
Straight out the back, mostly behind the new house, but some things behind the old house, but mostly behind the new house. Piles of wood, look like an old railroad tie kind of structure.
Yeah, there were 2 structures out there originally,
Yeah,
so
right.
we did clean up
Yeah.
the majority of that. There might have been pieces missing.
So with a partial CFC,
You take it down.
they still can't get
Still on the deed.
Still
Yeah.
in the deed, things that aren't complied with.
But
they can
whoever's
pass
buying the
papers.
house may
You
not
can
buy
pass
it
paper
without
with no
something.
COC.
So we
You're
try
not
to meet
supposed
with
to.
people and say,
But-
are you close?
What did we wind up doing, I mean, we had a similar one on Old Oak Bucket Road,
Yeah, Steve.
right? The lawn wasn't finished and whatnot, and they came in and asked us for a partial. And did we ask for any surety or anything like that, or?
No.
He said it would be seeded within a week, and it was. I went out there like 3 days later. It was loomed, it wasn't seeded, so,
Right.
it ended up getting done, but it was a partial.
Okay.
So you're okay with this?
Yeah, and
All right.
on that one, they put the stormwater structure in, it was in place.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that, but,
yeah.
but I had said to you on that piece, do we need to have deposit, or do we need to have a security deposit, something to keep everybody,
Honest.
Right, although we still have the open order, so they still have to come to us for a certificate of compliance. I mean, I think that is something we're holding over them.
well, we do see it, though, where people buy a piece of property,
I know.
and then we find out years later that there's never been a CFC completed.
No, they come see us because they're selling the house.
Again.
You know? So we want to be assured that those things are done, and whether it's, depending on how much still has to be done, or the severity of it, or whatever, sometimes we've said, let's have a security deposit, or
Make sure you
something
do it.
escrowed to make sure that it gets completed, or if there's another method to be sure that this gets wrapped up. I mean,
Yeah.
in another month, you're not here.
You're gone.
So, and then there's a open,
Yeah.
I just think that opens us up to additional risk. If you're gonna issue something that we're gonna have to put money down on, then you need to be very explicit. You're saying it's partial. It's my understanding that regardless, it's partial because you need 2 growing seasons before you're gonna issue a full certificate. Is that not correct?
Right.
that's true.
So we're getting partial regardless. If there's debris behind the wall, that's one issue.
Yeah.
But
Well, if this-
obviously, if you had the correct foundation as-built, you would have a better idea of where we stood, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if somebody would take photos of infiltration when they're putting them in, and, we try to remind people.
I'll go through my pictures as well. I
If you
may
have-
I take a
Okay.
lot of photos of projects as we go along, so I may have actual pictures of it.
The plantings look good, so that
All right,
was,
so-
sometimes we hold money for
So,
planting.
I mean, it's not a problem with we don't know. You think you're saying the foundation is the same as what was
Yeah, absolutely.
proposed, and it was just a mix-up in,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a whole property I sent. I definitely resent to Carol. She may not have seen it because I did send her multiple emails. I was sending her pictures of the property at the
she
same
hates it
time.
to have to straighten out the,
No, but I did explain. I said, I apologize. This is from another project.
Maybe I didn't understand.
They might be in the file, I just took the request for certificate of compliance.
I will resend it to both of you this evening or tomorrow morning.
I have an issue with the CS partial. Definitely with the junk being thrown out there. I know the buildings that had to be taken down, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's wetlands, that's not buffer, that's wetlands. It has to come out, no CSC, partial or otherwise until that crap is out of there.
Could that be done this week?
That's just inexcusable as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
that they just threw that building over.
Much of it is gone. There was all sorts of junk out there.
It's gotta be
Yeah,
cleaned.
there's
That
some
is a
that-
wetlands. That's how I
So would
feel.
people be good with, that comes out tomorrow, the next day,
Yeah.
doing a partial?
Do we need to wait for an additional meeting, or do we?
No.
No.
Pat can issue the certificate of compliance, he runs it before us, as long as the things that he's
Fine.
concerned with, if in the meantime you find a few pictures and you can satisfy him with that, all the better,
Absolutely.
okay?
Yeah. I will
But yeah, the
update.
debris, that's probably a pickup truck full.
And I live right down the street, so believe me, I'll be down there.
It was, I can't even remember now. I know there was different things that we moved around quite a bit, and absolutely stuff could have been left there, so
Well, I just know.
Okay,
All right,
we'll take care of it.
Okay.
good.
thank you.
So you're all set?
Good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's skunk cabbage, right up against the wall there. It starts right at the edge.
Okay, what else we got?
I will say, they did do a nice job on that.
Wayland, so do we want to do certificates or orders of conditions?
Why don't we do the orders of conditions first? okay?
Wayland, 57 Seaside Road, a deck.
I make a
Bill, you
motion.
want to move that motion?
Wait a second.
Wheeling.
Oh, Jesus. I make a motion. We accept the conditions as
Pretty
written.
boy.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we got a new wise guy.
And not I.
Yeah.
Gilson Road Realty Trust.
40 Peggotty Beach. I make a motion, we accept those orders as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For Stein Hale, 810 Country Way Septic.
Yeah, I make a motion, we accept those as written.
On that site,
That's
have
a
you
tough
been out
one.
there?
Yeah.
Is that parking, was that permitted
The parking where on,
on this piece of
To the-
property? They did some paving and stuff like that?
now, when I was out there, I was looking to the front left as you face the house to the left.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
"Oh."
There's always been parking there. They just paved it?
I think so.
Oh. But they've always parked trucks over
Yeah,
there.
the
I
pavement
know
wasn't
that.
in the notice, so, huh,
Huh.
next time by.
Was it just done, Frank?
I just, maybe you want to take a look at that site.
The Hunter's Pond Dam thing right near there is about to start.
Right.
What is that ringing?
A telephone.
Yeah, it's a phone in there.
It's okay, Lisa.
That's true.
It's not, we should all just said, there's no ringing.
What phone? What are you
guys
talking
are so
about?
mean.
Yeah.
So are we doing the order or not?
I mean, I'd say,
Well, the
it's-
orders are for the septic.
well, I'd say it's okay, provided Pat just take a look and
Sure.
see if what was done there is in compliance with what we can do.
Okay.
Well, they might have just asphalted without coming to us, too.
Okay, what else?
So certificates of compliance, Owen,
Yeah, this is the dock and pier. Kevin was in a couple of meetings ago. And it's built, appears to be the same. As built is from, looks exactly the same.
Did we vote on the last one?
We don't vote on the certificates of...
No,
you
order of
meant the order of conditions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't, I wrote second.
Well, I made a motion.
Right, and then it got sidetracked about the driveway, and we
I
never
just
voted.
seconded it. So
All
now you
in
can
favor?
vote.
Aye.
provided,
Yeah, provided
You're
Pat
right.
goes up.
Divided.
Take
Yeah,
care of the
take the
driveway.
peak. The
This
driveway.
one looks the same as the photos. I don't know why they even come to us if they go through chapter 91. They know what they're permitting, you know?
Yeah.
This is the
Is this the one
That
that,
is what it looks like.
is this the one that was not centered correctly?
I don't know where the hell they put it.
off by a foot?
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
Now,
You're right.
so my question is, if they're going to put these things in to prevent them from being off, wouldn't it, if they had the land surveyed, then they'd know exactly where to,
Yeah, I forget what
Install
Kevin
it.
said. Did they hit something? There was a ledge or was it, there was some reason they were off by a foot.
Okay.
I forget what he said.
there's no ledge in the cell cover?
It didn't sound like a mistake. It sounded like it was something they did on purpose.
There was a reason, yeah. And sometimes they make mistakes. Remember TK's? The top wasn't here.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
Oh, well.
All right, so what are we doing?
Don't have to do anything with that.
That was
Well, they built
before
a whole
you.
dock, and it was on the Bowling
Well, I was on
Dock
waterways.
store, and there was a
Yeah.
marina.
Yeah.
It wasn't where it was supposed to be.
No, it wasn't.
They pulled them up and,
Hope your brother was involved in that one.
no, this was
No.
private docks.
Private, not the town pier.
Okay, so what else?
Brunswick?
You're doing the 224?
32R Brunswick
Yeah,
certificate.
224 is okay.
Yeah, he's gonna order.
Need partial
What-
lots 1 and 2A, 1A, 2A.
Just did that,
We just did it.
Oh, good.
Countryway.
Anyway,
We did that.
That's what we just did.
Yeah, it's all one thing.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
No, we haven't done Brunswick yet, but
We
we
are
already
Brunswick.
did
Why is it
Countryway.
in red,
Well, this
Carol?
one is all
Because
the
it wasn't on the
plastic
agenda.
that they have all around.
The skirting?
whole thing, The skirting.
Yeah, but, I mean, we let a lot of people do that.
Yeah, will that end up in wash away
No, especially not where they are.
It won't rot away.
They're a good distance from...
We'll get sandblasted, though.
Yeah.
Brunswick?
Whale
Yeah.
swallows it.
No, but what happens
It's
is,
funny, you can't see anything. They had all the concrete piling at one point. It looked better this way.
Right, and they can park underneath. You know, they laid the piers out, that was smart, so they got parking, because they're right on the street.
There may be some limits in the future on skirting.
Well, we'll enforce them when there are, right?
Right. Yeah, in the velocity of
picking up that marsh at 10th Ave,
stuff everywhere.
the wood that's out back there will eventually decay, but all this composite stuff is not going in.
No.
You need wood stuff.
That looks nice.
So the house the same size, same footprint. They left vegetation, we left gravel driveway.
Maybe we can put it in their orders that they're responsible for the debris if it washes away.
Yeah, they won't have any here.
No, they won't. No, not in that
Not in your
location.
lifetime anyway, so.
Hey, what's her name's neighbor too, next door neighbor, Jody.
All right.
You like Joni, huh, Pat?
I'm afraid of doing
All right, we're still on,
We're on TV, you better watch out there. You could get fired.
What are they gonna do?
No, we're
I
done.
see some tough ones on for July 5th, I'm like, wow. Have fun.
No, when's your last day here?
No, he's sticking around.
I'll be all right.
He's not going.
Wow, just 2 weeks?
No, 6.
Oh, June 30th, okay, okay.
All right, Pat, you made...
can we just wrap up these top things, or what have you got, Penny?
No, that's all right, but it is conservation business enforcement.
Well, go ahead.
Well, you sent out an email, and it said that on Thursday you would kind of go after some people.
Writing all the letters, and there's a whole bunch we're
Forget
behind
about,
on.
well, there's some that, I'm really upset at 25 Egypt Beach Road. There's absolutely no excuse that they have not had a landscaper out there planting that, or planting it themselves. The last I heard, the weather. Excuse me, the landscapers were out in all the rain, they've been out working. It's inexcusable that that mess is still out there. They did not properly stabilize it in the winter, as far as I could see, and it's a disgrace. And I think no more letters. I would give them a week to get it done and then fine them.
Right.
I mean, it's a joke.
Right. The only ones getting letters are new ones that haven't even heard from us yet, which there are 7.
Well, let's clean up the old.
Right, but these new ones, stuff is continuing. So tomorrow's violation day, we'll just do everything tomorrow.
I would like Egypt Beach Road to have a week to plant or be fined. This is absolutely, it's mid-May.
Gotcha.
No excuse.
Why give them a week? Start finding them now.
Well,
Find them now.
please, she has an excuse.
They'll find urgency.
Every time you send her an email, she has an excuse.
Then fine her.
Well, fine, I'm tired of it.
And then I was planning on doing a whole bunch of enforcements on the 7th, but I think, you know, all these ones that we're looking at now, maybe all the violations are on for the 21st, because it seems like the 7th is pretty filled up.
I don't know.
Like the guy,
There's people that didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah, that Go Green thing is, I got a letter from somebody at Third Cliff the other day
Oh, yeah.
about that. Yeah, that needs to get reined in.
Green Connection, and there's both of them.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of
The
them.
guy on Gannett Road on the beach, he never took that wall down. That was there all winter. The
It's-
wall
it's
behind
down.
the seawall.
Down now, I think.
Yeah, the winter's over.
Well, it's
He was
down.
supposed to take that down in January.
You know, we gotta get this meeting wrapped up. I don't know if anybody else wants to stay here all night, but I don't.
Well, I'm just tired of them.
All right, so
Right,
your
tomorrow-
point's well made.
There's a couple things up top. Coastal Advisory Beach Committee.
Coastal
So
Advisory,
it's next Tuesday. It's the next meeting.
Okay, Russo, they're off coming up with a plan on how they're gonna restore the stormwater and remove the piles. They were pretty responsive to
Very
getting on that.
responsive, I
So
thought.
When do they think they'll have?
Well, Pat Penny and I met with their lawyers and...
Lawyers and an engineer.
And they said they'll get back to us within a month. They have issues that they need to contend with.
And they will help with the whole survey of the property line that the town owns, so if there's encroachment, that can be removed.
Good.
19 Peggy Beach Road was the soil cleanup, and Jen and I have been talking back and forth with DEP, and DEP said that what was found out there should have been reported to them before this, so they're going to knock on the door and talk with some of these people, so.
After
So that,
being washed.
you know, they can't go ahead with a building permit or anything, and I think they're gonna be asked to remove everything that's in there. In Seaside at Scituate, we had a meeting with Planning Board and with Jen Keefe, and where the plan now is to have a big meeting on all health impacts and assessment, so that that can be the focus of the whole meeting. But we really need Horsley Witten to receive all the information we have, assign it to somebody, read it, get back to us. So that one, it's going to take a few weeks, a month, I'm sure.
Do we have a contract with them now?
It was sent down by planning, and they probably are looking at the scope of work, and they'll send back and say how much it's going to cost the town to do it. And then we bill toll.
So just to kind of underscore that, I just want, that Pat, Frank, Penny, I went to the planning board meeting. They were very open to taking our input and about planning a step forward with jointly to manage the project.
For parts of the project that we need to work together. I think our concern was, after our meeting the other night, is that the meetings don't get dominated by the contamination issues, that there's specific ways for that to be dealt with, and we don't want to get sidetracked that we don't deal with the things that are within our purview correctly. We know that the contamination issues have to be dealt with, and we want them to be dealt with, but most of that's really not in our purview. And I think it's important, as these hearings go forward, that we remember what our purview is, and that other boards have others that they'll deal with. And I know a lot of times people come to us with a whole bunch of different things, but we need to make it clear that ours is these pieces, and that's what we'll
Right, you let
address.
them all vent excessively the first time, now...
We're done.
Well, we're going to have a format where people can discuss this. It won't be at the conservation meeting necessarily,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
there will be a format where we're going to...
Tell them where and when.
Yep, exactly right.
And then our next meeting, we're going to look at wetlands. Is that the 7th or the 21st?
Do we need to do a site? Did we say we were going to try to
Yeah,
get
we
on
were
the
going to
site
go out
for
there.
that?
Yeah, and the reason would be is they have stormwater plans that are sent to us, and they want to disturb
That's
certain
3
wetland
weeks.
areas or buffers, so we can at least walk and we'll know what we're talking about when we sit down. So
It's
it'll
like
be-
we have 3 weeks. It's a long,
But we do
have
want to
to do
get
it.
that, and then hopefully, there's a lot to putting together the agreement with Horsley Witten. And we know what we want, they gotta look at it and decide if that's what they want, or how they're gonna address the issues that we want. So it is a fairly complicated piece, and it's a big project.
Oh, yeah.
At least by our standards.
Yeah.
Steve Pritchett seemed like he was on board with us, and we're thinking the same way as
Right.
they are about...
But we have, the problem is that the planning board has a different time frame that they're allowed. They have to act within, I think it was 65 days. And we
don't
had
have
to
that.
open within 21, and then we're continuing these hearings. So we would like to have someone on board as soon as we can from Horsley Witten that can be following the
Yeah.
project for us.
Well, yeah, and we don't have to bring it up now, but we had some hurdles that we needed to discuss too, without, whether they were going to have the right people on board.
Well, that was all part of the discussion, how they're going to fill in.
Yep.
So, we're good, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We can skip the other two.
So if we want to start getting some dates for site visits, it's a nasty site to walk.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Remember the
We're
warriors?
gonna bring a case of off and...
Yeah.
I still remember it vividly.
All I know is I'm
We
gonna...
couldn't find each other.
All I know is I'm following Pat, because
Yeah, you-
he headed in one direction, I went in the other, and he was out waiting for me when I got there.
You guys will all have Lyme disease when you're done.
That's probably where you got it.
I don't know. I got it a couple of times, but...
Well, you've had it too.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had
Okay.
stuff a lot. That's it.
Good enough. What's that St. Francis? What's, any...
I'm wondering if the land was up for sale, and they closed the...
Silent bid, was it?
Yeah, so I didn't know if anybody's been approached about
Who won?
bid on it, or who won, or what's, has the town...
I don't know.
That's it,
I
okay.
don't know either. But Pat and I did go to a meeting. The dam had their pre-construction, the Hunter's Pond. Yeah, it was really good.
That was good.
The room was full, Pat. I never saw so many
Where
different
was this?
agencies. Right here. Even the Army Corps of Engineers had 2 people. The dam people were
Really?
here. Oh, yeah, we
I
had
can't wait
every
to watch.
board you
I
could
can't
think
wait to
of.
see that. That's gonna be so cool.
But, anyways, the bottom, the contractor was here, and,
When are they gonna start?
they will be starting to stage on June 19th. Actual work will start, right the day after the 4th of July. Okay, they will not actually be in the water until after the 4th of July, but they will be down there on June 19th, setting up, because the road will be closed across there from from driveway to driveway. You
Penny's
can't go
driveway
through.
is a staging area, Penny's.
Nobody-
volunteered.
But it was very impressive, all the people
Nobody
that
goes down
showed
that
up
road
for
anymore.
this.
Nice.
Yeah, to see, I was amazed at how many state agencies had
No,
to be
because we had
involved.
them all in the room, we said, while you're here, why don't we get out to Gilson Road?
That's
So we
right,
went to
yeah.
Gilson behind Peggotty and looked at that culvert.
Oh, good.
And the guy said, oh yeah, you
Jason.
could get this funded easily. This is a bad choke point. We've been only asking for 3 years. Yeah, so we had like 6 of the right people there, and they said, oh yeah. So Nancy's gonna file for a grant, and Kevin was there, and Sean, so,
All right.
So they'll be good,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll let Mr. Paris get out of here. He's
I make a motion to dismiss ourselves.
Adjourn.
adjourned.
That's it.
Yeah.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Bert.